Welcome to the Fullcaster Podcast, episode 40. It is our season 2 finale, and our guest today is Christian Brooks. Christian is, these days, kind of known more maybe as a driver coach here in the karting paddock, at least here in SoCal, as he's starting to play around with the car things these days. We're going to get a chance to chat with him all about how he got into karting throughout his karting career and just about that car stuff in a little bit. But first, bud, it is the season finale here, episode 40. It's pretty cool here that we've even made it this far, eh?
I'll tell you what, we don't make end of the day scheduling like this for most people, but Christian Brooks is worth it. You know, after a work day, the last thing we want to do is sit here even longer and record a podcast. But Christian's worth it.
Well, that is yet to be seen. Right?
Yeah, on paper it looked pretty good. But
it's cool to get a chance to your point. End of the day, it is the end of the day. 18th of September, LAKC practice. We just did an episode on Monday. We recorded with Tony Siragusa of Formula Works. He's actually here this weekend as well. Not usually doing these things at the end of the day, but being able to knock these things out, and then here in September, so we get the editing done. I think this will go out about mid-October.
I believe so. But yeah, I mean, end of season 2, 40 episodes in, and yeah, it's been quite the journey, hasn't it?
Yeah. Before we went on air, I was talking about how last year, this time, I think we were like episode 17 or so of season 1, and we had like 4,400 or 4,500 downloads. We're like, wow, it's so crazy.
We're stoked, yeah.
You know? And we are just shy of 20,000 now.
Yeah.
And the outpouring of support and just people enjoying what the show it's certainly made it easier to get through the editing.
You and I are about
like
19,500 of them.
Yeah,
we just can't get enough of it.
No, exactly, yeah. That's my 15-minute commute.
Yeah.
It takes a long
Gets
time.
a little bit longer, yeah.
I use different IPs to make sure I can get in.
Shit.
You see, kids, IP stands... I'm just kidding.
International... no, I'm just kidding.
You definitely don't know what
No,
it
I
is.
do not.
Anyways. It's a lot of fun, this show. It's been so cool hearing everybody's stories, whether it be how they got into karting, what they do in karting, the history of the sport, at least here in SoCal for much of it. And it's a storied history. I mean, it started here in SoCal, and you got places like Adams Motorsports Park been forever. The on-site stuff we did this season.
Yeah.
Heading to Andy's shop and Stu's shop and over at the track at Adams with Troy. It's just been so much fun. And not only that, learning things, whether it be theory of stuff or setup. We've had so many people pop up to us and be like, hey, I learned this from the podcast. Right. And it's like, oh, that's pretty damn cool, too.
No, it's been neat. I mean, you and I have been each in our own respect in the sport for a while, right? You know, I've gotten to do our own journeys and stuff, but hearing about the bigger picture of the beginning of karting, you know, how it's expanded and, you know, different thought processes and stuff, it's been so unique, and we're really lucky to be able to get that perspective from everyone else, right? And we've had 39 other guests be willing to share their stories, and now we're on number 40. It's pretty cool, and man, I'm looking forward to this one, and it's just, it's been awesome. Learning so much.
And we're talking about what to do different for next year and talking to different people about their ideas, and we talk about round tables and different things to try. This is obviously the season finale. We've got all of October, November, and December before we start kicking off the new season and the new year, so we get a chance to record some stuff. And during that period of time, we're going to have the regular seasons sewing things up, you know, the regular championships, whether they be local or regional or what have you. And then you've got big events, whether they be, you know, the
Vegas
cup kart
races or whatever.
Vegas races or cup karts like I'm going to on the other side of the country.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it be 4-stroke or 2-stroke, there's karting everywhere. Never mind in Europe or Australia or anywhere else that people listen to the show. There's karting in all different, levels and parts of the country, parts of the world. We all share that same thing. Yeah. And to kind of bring it all together on this show has made things a lot of fun.
Now, on that point, I think it's pretty cool because the people we've met through the show, right? You know, as far as guests, but also the people that have come up to us in the paddock, but hey, listen to your show, blah, blah, you know, there's the Matt Johnsons of the world, and then there's, you know, the guy just bought his first go-kart and started listening to the show to learn about stuff. And it's like we're all in it for the same reason because we're a little stupid and we like going fast and, you know, driving stuff. Yeah. But I think that's kind of the neat part, right, about the sport. And I think the podcast has been a reminder of that it's a sport to go have fun with, and that's what it's reminded me of, you know?
Yeah, you can just have it for fun and be a hobby. You can also use it to work your way up the ranks.
Yeah.
And actually, the guest we have today has done exactly that. I know, watched him do cadets when he was just a munchkin out here at Cal Speed, and now he's in cars and trying to make things happen there. So it can be both for fun on the side and also your kind of path to the top, if you will, as we know so many have been able to do it before. And well, maybe to kind of kick things off and get the season finale underway here, let's get right after it here with episode 40 guest, Christian Brooks. Christian Brooks, thanks for taking time out of your busy day and your evening, I should say, here after LAKC to hang out with us, bud.
No, it's my pleasure. I know we've been trying to set this up for a really long time. So, no, I'm glad to sit down with you guys, talk about some old memories, and have a good time.
No, for sure. We're looking forward to it. As we said in the current events, our season finale, and I mean, it's just a bunch of shows put together, but it still is a season. Not like we're not going for a championship or anything like that, but you can kind of look back on the year and go, there's a lot of stuff going on. And you know, as you were working with, I assume, Munchkins underneath the tent there, you do things with NASH. But before we start getting into your season and your year and whatnot, what is it that you do these days? Do you have a jobby job? Do you do a 9 to 5, or are you just kind of driver coaching?
Oh, man. Well, it's really nonstop travel. Obviously, you guys see me out here working with the NASH boys all the time. And when I'm not here, I'm usually in Indianapolis, Illinois, Wisconsin, wherever it is. Helping out Exclusive Autosport, my race team. So
okay.
I'm driver coaching over there with F1600 cars. Actually, Joey Brienza, who came from karting. So he's trying to make his way up the road to Indy ladder as I am. Mm-hmm. So it's cool to help him out. And, yeah, just bouncing back and forth from Cali to Indy and just trying to keep the dream alive, really.
And that is a 9 to 5. You're getting paid to be a driver coach for I guess that'd be the entry formula, right? So with Exclusive Autosport, am I saying it right?
Yeah, Exclusive Autosport.
And so Brienza, as an example, he's doing the F1600, you said, and you're driver coaching him as well as you're trying to move up. You're beyond him already. Was it F3 now that you're in?
US F2000.
F2000, okay. So you're doing the driver coaching there. Are you also doing driver coaching on a regular basis in the karts? It's just going back and forth between cars and karts on a regular basis?
Yeah, honestly, I really enjoy it because it keeps me fresh. Because when you're watching people make mistakes all the time and constantly judging them, you really think back and look on your own mistakes a lot more. So, honestly, it keeps me on my toes. Even though I'm not always in the go-kart, I'm always out here coaching, helping younger kids. And honestly, I enjoy it so much. So it's cool to always be at the racetrack.
We were just talking to Blake Nash about that a few nights ago because he's now kind of starting to dip his toe into coaching a little bit. And just like I think all of us felt when we first started coaching, we're like, oh, we got to coach the new person, blah, blah. But
a little more challenging.
Yeah, a little bit more challenging, but it's having the patience to do it, but also kind of like you were saying, being able to watch this person make mistake after mistake, whatever it may be. It keeps you sharp, but what the point I made to Blake about it was it reminds you about the fundamentals, and like you got to have that solid baseline, right? And you have the luxury of being able to do the karts and the cars and jump in the seat for both, right? Like you said, dude, it just keeps you sharp.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. And like I said, I've been doing this, well, obviously I've been go-karting forever, for ages. You guys have seen me around the racetrack basically my whole life. Right. So I've had a lot of practice at it. I've been with a lot of drivers that listen very well and improve. And as a coach, I love it. I love seeing kids progress and become better. And honestly, under NASH, I think Seth does a really good job of, on the development side of things, taking a driver that knows nothing. And the learning process is so quick because what we do at NASH is lots of seat time, and it's not the standard approach. I think we're probably a little harder on our drivers than most teams because we do it for fun, but we come to win. So it's always really cool to see the drivers develop and see the way they react, because you can't treat every driver the same. You got to always make sure, because there's some sensitive ones and there's some that can really take it. So you got to find a happy medium between all of them, but I think Nash definitely does a really good job of that.
How does the kart coaching compare to the driver coaching deal? And not only the two different disciplines there, but the two different teams. You say NASH Motorsport obviously is the primary deal with the kart deal. I don't know anything about exclusive. Is the mentality the same there, or is the vibe different? How is coaching different between the two disciplines and two organizations?
Well, I think there's many differences. I think the biggest thing with the car stuff is I'm still learning as a driver, and of course I'm still learning in go-karting as well. But I've been in the karting industry for so long, and I've done countless races. So, I mean, around Cal Speed, I've done countless laps.
Right.
So going to new tracks with the car stuff and really also trying to understand how the car works and how the car performs the best and how important the cambers and this and that and everything is so much more detailed in the car stuff.
Okay.
And so not only am I driver coaching, but I'm trying to better educate myself on how the car really works, the dynamics.
Yeah.
I mean, aerodynamics, everything. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm the driver that when I'm racing, I'm out there like, if there's a zip tie that has a little bit of length on it, I'm chopping it as short as I can to get the most aerodynamics, even though it does absolutely nothing.
Right, yeah.
It's in the head already.
Oh, it's in the head. I'm trying to get every little bit that I can. And that's what I really love about doing the car stuff is I'm learning, I'd say, more than in karting since it's still new to me.
Right. Well, you've got you got those years of karting, and so you're going to still, like you say, you're still learning, but you've learned a lot, right? Especially on the fundamental side and things like that. Cars, to your point, it's very, very new, especially this type of car. And so every lap you do, you may learn something else. Derek, what were you saying?
I was going to say, though, I mean, what the other part, too, is when you work with someone in karting, there's so much more driver involved. Or, yeah, you move to a car and there's still a lot of driver involved, but now it's like, how can we make the car a little bit better for them to drive? And then, comfortable, and then we can start fine-tuning it from there. But to your point, all the detail that goes into the car, there is that much more that you have to pay attention to, And I think that is definitely the coolest part is, like, all right, I don't suck. I'm here for a reason. I can at least put a little bit more focus into the ride and see if I can make it to what I want it to be. Or now that you're on the good team, it sounds like, they can tell you, no, this is where we want the car to be. You need to fix yourself or whatever,
Yeah, and that makes me think about learning from the engineers as well, from another standpoint. I mean, even when I'm coaching, there's engineers, and sometimes they'll ask my opinion, which makes me feel really good about myself because,
right.
Okay, maybe I do know something.
Right,
okay?
right.
But like I said, it's just so much different. Like here we put in H axles, there you put 900-pound spring. So it's just so it's so cool. And then balancing it with the aero and everything. Honestly, I love it. Like if I don't make it as a race car driver, I love engineering.
Oh,
yeah.
neat.
Cool. And it's not easy. I'm terrible, but
right.
I'm learning. I'm getting better for sure.
Well, maybe that's a good segue to ask you before we get into how you got into racing or karting in the first place. You talk about trying to make it as a race car driver, getting into the Formula cars and trying to work your way up the ladder. Are you going to school at the same time? I mean, you're just shy at 21, I believe, at this point, and you haven't quite, gotten into those early 20s where people maybe be getting out of school. So are you doing school at the same time right now, or is it pretty much all in on the car game?
No, so it's been all in on the car game. I mean, me and my dad had this dream. My dad and I had this dream a long time ago. And for anyone who's met my father, they know that he pushes hard, is a common term we use in racing. And I believe it was 7th grade, I began dual enrollment because, actually, funny story, in 6th grade, my elementary school called the cops on my parents.
Oh, no.
Because I was gone like Wednesday to Friday and the weekend, always gone, right, racing. And we would always call out sick or whatever the case may be. And they called the cops because they said that it was like abuse, which really they had no idea I was having the best time of my life.
Right.
And so once that happened, we're like, okay, we obviously have to make some changes. We have to
maybe do this the proper way.
We have to work around this school thing.
Yeah.
So,
you can't call in sick all the time.
Yeah, no, they weren't digging it. And yeah, so we decided the best thing to do was do dual enrollment. So then 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade, we did dual enrollment. So I went to school for auto and culinary and to hang out with my buddies.
Okay.
And then all my other classes were online.
Okay.
And
that's where the dual part comes into play.
Exactly.
Okay.
So luckily, my grandfather is a genius math teacher. and he was like my tutor because it wasn't easy at all. It was just it was the same schoolwork just without a teacher.
Right.
So luckily he would travel with me. Well, he wouldn't even travel with me for the school. He traveled with me because it was me, my dad, and my grandfather going to the races.
Gotcha.
And they were my mechanics.
Yeah.
So
and by the way, while you're here, might as well learn some math.
Right. Yeah. While you're at the track, you might as well get tutored.
Yeah.
76, 78.
Yeah.
Sprocket.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but no, definitely. He taught me a lot, and he kind of got me through the whole school thing. And yeah, no school anymore.
So you did dual enrollment through what, 10th?
Through 10th grade.
In 11 and 12?
11 and 12. So basically what I did was I went to the Brooks Private Homeschool Academy. So my mom had to make I don't even know how she got like a license to do this or whatever, but she did. And I have a diploma.
Was it accredited?
From the Brooks Private Homeschool Academy.
I love it.
And no, so basically she just gave me the same type of work that they did at the normal school. We got our stuff from Apex, VS. Same thing as like Hard at Home. I'm speaking gibberish, but basically homeschool for the last 2 years.
Gotcha. And so obviously you had to take a little bit of a, as you say, you went all in on the car stuff, the racing stuff. And this is something that you say your dad went, he pushed you hard, but it doesn't sound like you were forced to do it. You were all in on this game yourself. And schooling takes a little bit of a back seat. Is this something as you start getting into your adult years and you talk about engineering, things like that, obviously that can that could be a little bit of a challenge. Have you thought about a backup plan at all? And we'll get into the actual good stuff later, but I'm out of curiosity from someone from you going all in like that. Because there's a lot, I didn't do that. There's a lot of us in racing that did all the way through school and stuff like that. You went all in a different way. Have you thought about how that works as you get a little bit older?
I'd say, honestly, I really don't think about not making it.
Right. Okay. I hear you.
Until that day comes, I'm just going to push as hard as I can.
Cross that bridge when you get there.
Exactly.
Got it.
Honestly, I could driver coach the rest of my life and I'll stay alive.
Right.
I'll be able to eat, but no, for me, I don't like to doubt myself at all. I know that if I make the right decisions and I drive as well as I know I can, then hopefully we'll be getting paid to do this racing thing.
Right.
Nice.
For sure. Putting a button on that thing and kind of going back to how this whole thing got started. As a munchkin, firstly, how did you get into racing? And are you first generation, or did your dad do it, or like anything like that?
So I'd say my dad's a bit of like a moto junkie. Like if you've ever met my dad, he's that moto guy with the high socks and the flat brim. So he actually opened MB2 Raceway, which is an indoor karting track, when I was 5 years old. And he was an electrician, and one day he woke up and decided he wanted to have an indoor go-karting track. Don't know what made him do it, but him and his partner made a decision to go for it. So it was a bold move. I definitely say that. Mortgage on the house and everything, sending it. I think double mortgage on the house.
Oh, geez.
To start up MB2.
To start up MB2.
Wow.
Yeah, so we didn't have money to race before MB2 was open. And, well, we weren't even thinking about racing.
Yeah.
But
not only did you not have money to race, you didn't have any money after you opened it right away.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so luckily it ended up starting off very well. I think our first day, opening day is still our most busy day we ever had.
Wow.
At MB2.
That's crazy.
I don't know how. I guess he must have had a decent marketing team, whatever. But so there was this little go-kart. I remember it was a Top Kart, Kid Kart. Not these lame Honda motors they have nowadays, a real Kid Kart engine.
The Comers.
The Comers. And I walked past it, and I was sitting in it, and it fit me perfect.
Is this an MB2?
At MB2, so my dad had a display cart.
Okay.
And I'm not honestly sure where he got it. But one day he said, "Hey, you want to fuel this thing up and take it in the truck?" So we threw it in the back of the truck, headed out to Willow Springs was the first track. And from there, it was literally almost every weekend until now.
What made your dad want to, shit can the electrician deal? That is a good job, a great career. And he's like, no, I want to have a indoor karting place. I'm going to go all in on this and go. There's got to be a racing bug. He couldn't have been like, this is gonna make me way more money. Like, was that the thought process, or is he already a racing nut?
Oh, he's definitely a racing nut. I mean, he's into. I mean, now he's extremely hooked.
Yeah.
But even back then, he was watching NASCAR, IndyCar, Supercross. We were going to all the Supercross races when I was younger.
Okay.
So he loved it, and he's kind of an adrenaline junkie.
Mm-hmm.
Wakeboarding, this, that, snowboarding, whatever.
So it was either going to start a motorcycle track or an indoor karting track, and he went with the indoor karting track.
Yeah, I guess it was one of the two. But I mean, I think he just wanted a better life for his family.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were living great. Don't get me wrong. Like, we had a great house. Everything was golden. I would have been very happy. But
very, very happy 5-year-old at the time.
Oh yeah, having a great time. And he just wanted
something different, huh?
I guess we all want to make more money. He wanted to make more money, and and so he decided to go for it. And
gotcha. If
he never did, I would never be sitting here with you guys right now.
That's crazy.
Right.
That's so crazy. So you guys end up having this top cart, this Kid Kart, and you end up getting in the back of the pickup and head over to Willow. And how'd the first day go?
To be honest with you, I don't remember. There was a very long time period, because everybody who's watching this or listening to this, that's raced against me, I'm known as an aggressive driver. But back then, until I was like, there was one day that it clicked for me, and I was always fast, but I wasn't making the moves I needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it kind of clicked in like 2008 when I finally started to understand how good it felt to...
Is that still Kid Karts in 2008?
No, 2008 would have been first year cadet, I believe.
So
no.
Well,
maybe 2007 was first year cadet.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but we were always moving up early.
So you got into cadets, and you went from being decently quick to actually going racing a little bit. And to your point, you're starting to feel good about making things happen.
Yeah, and to be honest, when I was in Kid Kart, dude, I had no idea what was going on. Like,
right.
I knew
none of them do.
No, literally no clue. And I look back at the Kid Karters now, I'm like, okay, I had no idea what was going on either. So I can't yell at them to hit their apex because,
right.
I mean, if you're 6 years old, you're not going to listen.
Yeah, the 5-second attention span.
Yeah, exactly. So like we were playing, I mean, me and Herdo were playing. What were they called? DSs. Not even focusing on the race, just having fun. Chris Trickle. I mean, Jake Drew. Me and Jake have been racing together since we were literally 5 years old. So, it's been a long road, but like I was saying, one day it clicked for me. So, back to your initial question, how did the first day go? I'm not sure, but I know I wasn't aggressive enough until a little later down the road.
Right. Do you think you were timid, or were you pretty comfortable just driving from what maybe you remember and what your dad has told you? Yeah,
was it the driving, or was it the driving with the people? Because we'll see that, right? With some kids, like, oh man, kids are actually pretty damn good. Then you get out there with other people and like, well, hold on a second.
Yeah.
We do this with other drivers.
Back to the drawing board, yeah.
Yeah, I think there was one day when I realized, okay, maybe they're good, but there's no reason I can't be better.
Mm-hmm.
And I also really, really enjoyed the feeling of getting the best of someone eventually. Because once you start doing it, like once you start making awesome late passes or whatever it is for you guys both, it feels great, you know?
Yeah.
So it took me a while to understand that. And I had great people around me. Like when I was first coming up in the cadet scene, I was racing for Pitt's Performance. So Phil Carlson, Josh Robertson, Lattori, I had all these guys that were really pushing me as a driver. And
is cadets, and how old are you roughly?
I think I started cadets in 2007. So like 7 to 11, because I moved up to junior really early because my dad always wanted to push me so I would become better.
The progression was happening quick then.
Right. Oh yeah.
Okay.
So how old are you at that time? 2007, 2008. How old are you?
Oh, I'm born in 2000. Sorry. So
okay.
7 years old, 8 years old.
I'll put it in my notes.
Yeah, I don't even think about it because I hear 08, 8 years old, 09, 9 years old. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're first year, second year cadets, and you have your run with Pitts, and you listed off some names, just some people know what the hell's going on.
Oh yeah, and like Kevin Christensen, Jido, rest in peace. They were all pushing so hard, and
so basically, like you just got thrown in this Kid Kart at a random time, right? Your dad goes all in his business, happens to buy some top cart to have on display. He's like, hey, this thing probably works, blah blah. But from the time that first day at Willow, it was a quick progression throughout that. And you said you were hitting the track about 3 times a week, did Kid Karts, now you're up in cadets. But, I mean, dude, that's a fast program. That is a fast program you're a part of, and you have the right people around you, it can go even faster, it sounds like.
Yeah, and that's, like, I'll find myself on the track, and I'll literally hear it wasn't even called coaches back then, you just had your mechanic, and that was their responsibility then, was to yell at you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I loved it. And I always had great relationships with all my guys. But like Jido was actually, I'm sure you guys both knew Jido.
Mm-hmm.
And he was working at MB2 as well as the kart mechanic there.
Oh, no way.
Oh, okay.
So he was coaching me here. He was family. He'd come over Christmas, Thanksgiving, everything. And so we would talk to each other like family. And he wasn't afraid to hurt my feelings or this or that. So like even now, I'll be on the track and I'll be like, hearing Jido's voice, like, why are you turning in so early? And no, I think all those experiences and having all that knowledge around me since I was young has helped me so much. And it made the learning process a lot quicker than I would have thought.
So it sounds like as far as the driving goes, you definitely picked up the driving pretty good. The speed was there. The aggression took a second from what you kind of glanced on. But, I mean, were you kind of a timid kid as far as personality? I don't think you were, but as far as like
those two things go hand in hand here. It'd be interesting.
But I mean, were you a pretty quick learner as far as your tuner set or your coach, your mechanic? Go fix this. Could you go fix it, or was it repetition?
It's so hard for me to say because I really don't know, and I don't want to sit here and say, oh yeah, I would go out there and fix it first try.
Right. Yeah.
But I definitely know that I would always try. Mm-hmm. And I would always listen to the people around me. I was never shrugging them off like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
So I would always go and do my best. But no, not a timid kid. The aggression just came with time, I think. Because
getting more comfortable.
Yeah. And when I realized how much I loved winning, I think is when I really started being more aggressive.
Right.
Because even to this day, a lot of the time, I'm not the guy with the quickest lap time. But I feel like I can outrace anybody that you put in front of me, whether it's in the USF car or a go-kart or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's, for me, it's the most important part of, what would you call it? My career is all the racecraft.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it is for me.
Well, it's funny. I mean, that's been like Mike's career too. Has been like not being the fastest guy, but being fast enough. But he's a little bit better at the racecraft, a little bit smarter with some moves and stuff, and that goes a lot further.
Definitely surprised when I see pole position. Like, whoa,
me too.
Right.
Somebody else messed it up.
But back to cadets for a second. So you guys move up pretty quick. You're in cadets now. Are you just doing club stuff, or are you trying to do club and regional? What was that like?
Yeah, what was the progression there for sure? And maybe add to the Kid Kart thing. Did you just run Willow? Did you guys travel around? Like, what's your progression through the early years?
So with the Kid Kart stuff, I was always racing against Jake Drew, Chris Trickle. Those were really the two heavy hitters back then. And back in those days, all the best guys were always at Cal Speed. You know what I mean? So you didn't really have to go at LAKC, yeah. So you didn't really have to go too far.
Right.
And we would always just show up, and everybody would because it was so competitive. Like the Kid Karts of my day, it was insane. I mean, there was like 30 carts sometimes in Kid Kart.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was absolutely nuts.
Wow.
And no, I learned a lot from that. And then once I got into the cadet thing, that's when we really started to make a push, because that's when I started to realize that, okay, maybe we can go. And I remember talking to people, and there's one person, I'm not going to state his name, but he told me, he said, Christian, you really think that you can make it?
As a munchkin.
Yeah, he told me, do you think you can make it? And I'm like, oh yeah. He's like, oh, trust me, it takes all this money and this and that. He basically told me you're not going to be able to do it.
Right.
Because he wasn't able to do it.
Okay.
And when he said that to me, I just always thought, why not? Why not? I'm at least going to try.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I had no respect for that at all. And that honestly drove me so hard. And I think that might have been where that aggression came from.
Oh, gotcha.
Try that much harder.
I wanted it so badly after he said that, because I'm like, obviously you didn't try with everything you had.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's the way your brain is working at a 7, 8-year-old. Like, well, then you must not have tried hard enough because I want to try harder.
It's not impossible. There's plenty of people that do it. I've seen many drivers come from absolutely $0 and that are driving an IndyCar. Shout out to Askew, just went P5 today in qualifying at Laguna.
Right.
And a few months ago, he won Rock Vegas not knowing if he had an IndyCar ride.
Right.
So it's like, as long as you keep pushing, and he didn't sit on the couch and give up. He got on the cell phone, started making calls, and he knew what he could do.
I think all you got to go do is win Rock Vegas now. And
that's what I just heard.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to try to do right now.
Shifter.
Yeah. Oh,
just a few
you didn't say what class.
Somebody might be.
But no, I think that's kind of neat to hear that little thing kind of lit the fire under your ass, right? And you're like, oh, no, I'm going to go do this to prove you wrong, but also prove it to myself.
So in capping off the Kid Karts thing, you're here at Cal Speed, you're doing LAKC deal. As you say, that's where the competition is at the time. You move into the cadets, and that's where you're doing Pitts Performance, right? You go straight into that deal. Giles already working with you. How did that connection happen, and what was the progression there into Kid Karts? I know at the time, I wasn't here yet, so I want to say Comer is still the primary, Comer 80, and maybe a KPV 1, right? Those are the two primary
I think
cadet
that was
classes.
like right as
those are the primaries. You had Yamaha, Pipe,
Yamaha was still
Ken,
going, yeah. Okay.
And we had light, heavy in every single class.
So you still had all those things. This isn't so we're still talking about 2007-8. So the whole bubble burst and crap like that, it hasn't taken a downturn yet, right? Because I want to say 2006 Nationals were here, IKF Nationals are here at Cal Speed in 6, and again later in 11. And the 6th one was ginormous, and in 07 and 8 was still rolling. So you're running these. Are you doing all these classes as well? Multiple classes on these on club and regional days as well?
Yeah. So I actually have a good story for you because you said something about how did you get linked up with Pitts.
Okay. Yeah.
And how that happened was my mom had these GoPeds, or my dad had these GoPeds, and he sent my mom to try to go get them fixed up or whatever so we could have them at the track. And my mom found Pitts Performance because they sold mopeds and GoPeds or whatever.
Okay.
And she brought it in, and she met Josh Robertson, who's a great friend of ours, and he built my engines for a long time after that. So she went in and met them. We had no idea. We just started go-karting and Kid Karts because I've been with Pitts since the very beginning.
Even with Kid Karts?
Even with Kid Karts,
all right, so you tried it out the first time and quickly figured out where to go in that realm.
Yeah, and Pitts was like the powerhouse back in the day. Like it was a team to be with, and somehow we literally just stumbled in there.
Yeah, it was GoPeds. That's
trying to get GoPed motors fixed.
Wow.
And really, it just needed a change plug, but we didn't even know that back then because we weren't into motorsports.
Wow.
Right.
So you just get it happens fast. The indoor track starts up. You go do Kid Karts. You've got GoPeds and Kid Karts. Our GoPeds suck. We need to get them to suck less. Hey, Pitts Performance. Oh, wait, just so happens not only do they do GoPeds, it's probably the place to go for Kid Karts, cadets, and so on and so forth. Wow, what a turn of events.
Yeah, exactly. So from there, we started. That was like the initial push because
it was a bigger world.
It was a bigger world, and my dad loved it because, it's so cool to be able to spend time with your family. And also, I played baseball, and we loved it. But everybody plays baseball, you know what I mean? And for us, it was so cool to be doing something completely different.
I got you.
And be able to spend so much time together. And me and my sister, like, throwing rubber chunks at each other as kids. Like, we just loved everything about it.
Yeah.
Everything. And my dad is an addict. Like, he's back then, he was the craziest Kid Kart dad. Like, I couldn't even begin to explain.
I totally believe that.
I couldn't even begin to explain. And so obviously did the whole Kid Kart thing. It went really well. We actually won a lot of races. We were always up front. There's still one race that really pisses me off.
As a Kid Kart?
As a Kid Karter. Because we were at Santa Maria, and I led the entire race until the last lap, and a lap cart came up. This is another thing about the aggression that I didn't have.
Okay.
This was like year 2 in Kid Kart, I'd say. Led the whole thing. Drew's on my bumper. And I get to the kid, and I just completely lift, and I don't even go around him. Like, I didn't properly pass him at all.
Right.
And Drew went around both of us like nothing.
Yeah, he was born with the aggression, Drew.
Yeah. Oh, that's why me and Drew have gotten into it many, many times.
Right.
Many, many times. But yeah, so he beat me that day, and I won. I don't know if we had Kid Kart light and heavy. I'm not sure, but I won one of the classes.
You won the coveted Kid Kart championship.
Yeah.
That's basically that's number 1 on your resume right now, right? Kid Kart champion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You start with that.
And
I've
then
got
they go
some
back,
good pictures.
They go back and look at the
Kid
stats,
Karts,
like,
yeah.
oh, but you lost to Drew. Next resume.
That Santa Maria race.
Why do you think Drew just got hired? They're like, oh, you beat Brooks?
Yeah,
Kid
exactly.
Karts?
We're using that against you. That's not good. Oh, man.
Oh, man. But yeah, so had a ton of fun there. And then, like we said, when I was racing cadets, there was heavy hitter. Like, I'm thinking Mikey Womack, if you guys remember who that is at all.
That sounds familiar.
The most aggressive kid. So I had to become aggressive. And once I figured it out, I loved it. We were racing light, heavy of Comer, light, heavy of KPV. Or it started out as HPV. And then light, heavy of Yamaha, light, heavy of Yamaha pipe.
It's a sportsman, right?
So there was some races that I was doing 6 to 8 classes a weekend.
Wow.
Jesus.
Just constantly driving. Not one break.
Yeah.
Driving all day long.
We talk about seat time being a big deal. Well, seat time on a normal weekend versus seat time on, you basically built 8 weekends into 6 to 8 weekends into one. That's putting some seat time down right there.
It steepens the learning curve for sure.
Yeah.
It
lessens it.
Lessens the learning
Yeah.
curve. Because you're just, constantly on track. Like, when I drove back then, I always remember, like, I'd be in the lead and I'd be singing to myself and not even thinking. You
Right.
know what I mean? And, like, you guys know how it is when you're in that element and you're hitting your marks. You're not even thinking. It's all muscle memory. It's all knowing
Just
what you
rhythm.
need to do. Like, obviously, you go to a new track. And the first session, you're thinking about, okay, I turn in here, I brake here, make sure you don't lock up too much, this or that. But when you're really in the zone, I think about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's even like that in the big car. I think about absolutely nothing. I've never used references before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look at the barrier and know I need to brake there. It's all like...
You're just going off of the apex.
It's all muscle memory, always looking at the apex.
Yeah.
That's it. Even in the car, like I come off and my teammates are like, "Hey, are you braking?" I'm braking at like 250 to 275. I'm like, "Dude, I don't even know."
Yeah.
I just drive in as deep as I can. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it was always cool to have that much seat time and be able to. I'm sorry, I lost my voice. If anybody's wondering why I sound so weird, I lost my voice.
They don't know,
ago.
Christian. They think this is the normal. You just blew it. You had to get a good thing going.
I sound like I'm like 45 years old, but yeah, no, having that much seat time definitely helped me.
How did those cadet years go? I mean, you're doing a lot of classes. You do it for, it sounds like, about 3-4 years because of the quick moving up. And what kind of events are you doing? LAKC. I assume IKF, which is the big dog. That is the thing here, at least in SoCal. How much travel and how many events? Or not how many events, but what events are you guys hitting? And what are you guys already starting to think about the ladder at this point? Or are we still, because we're in cadets, are we still just doing it to do well in karts?
At this point, we're just doing it to do well in karts.
Gotcha.
We're doing, like you said, LAKC, IKF, Tri-Cs here and there, Super Nationals, and then we get into the SCUSA stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I always say we really started to push because we were always pushing. But the SCUSA stuff was cool because I got to race a lot of kids from Florida. And
You're talking about like pro tour stuff.
yeah, so pro tours, pro karts.
Okay.
Like I went to my first Super Nationals, and I raced the first ever Super Nationals that had a cadet class.
Okay.
And that was in, I believe that was 2010.
Is it the Mini Rock?
Mini Rock. And it's funny because me, Herta, and Noah Gray.
Noah Gray. That's a name I've heard.
And Parker Thompson.
Oh, wow.
Us four were the 4 drivers that originated the Mini Rock class. There was 4 of us that did the Pro Tour. 4 drivers.
That's it.
Yeah. So we traveled around and did that. And then we went to the Super Nationals, and it was huge. All these kids have been racing Mini Rock in Europe this whole time. So they all came over, and it was like 50-something kart class. And you had the DiFrancescos, Sargent, these kids that are all racing F3 now, Indy Lites, all this.
Even, the names you just said right out of the gate, Colton Herta, he's not terrible, I suppose.
Yeah, we were just talking. He just qualified on pole at Laguna. So.
Yeah.
To my point, it's actually funny. I have a great picture from Supernats because I'm starting on the front row, and Colton spun before we take the green flag. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I'll have to pull that up.
Is that the Christmas card you send him every year?
Oh, for his birthday, every time. I actually send him a picture from here like this in front of him. Always. Happy birthday, brother. Don't forget. But, definitely there was some tough series. We were always going to the next step because once you become good, or I never want to say the best because nobody's the best, but once you become good in your series, there's always a series that's better. There's always a better driver somewhere.
Another step.
Exactly. So until you go and take them down, take the crown away, then really you're not thinking about it right. Because there's people that can win Tri-C races, and they think, oh, I'm the best. I've won 15 races in a row, but it means nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we were always trying to challenge ourselves, and I'm thankful that my dad was willing to do that. And I was always just wanting, hey, can we go to this race? Can we go to that race? I used to stay up until like 3 a.m. in the morning every single day watching WSK videos when I was in Cadet because I loved the way they raced. I loved how aggressive they were because it wasn't the same back then in Cadet racing. Like now it's a lot more like European style driving in Pro Tour races and stuff like that, driving all the way down to the white line. And a lot more defensive driving. Back then it was like punt and then get punted back and you call it fair. Like in the WSK stuff, I just loved how it was just like stupid aggression, but the way they were calculated, I really loved it. So
you almost trade the go big defense versus move me out of the way.
Yeah, because like there was a race here. I'm not sure if you guys were here. It was SCUSA, and Musgrave was in the lead, and I did one shifter race, and Musgrave just lended me a go-kart and an engine to run, and I didn't practice at all. I just showed up to the race, but I blocked the entire race because I was slow. I blocked Wick behind me because we had beef for years for many series before, and just running white line and going defensive the entire race, just absolutely parking it on the inside, because once you can get the field stacked up, they can't go wide to try to get across on you because they're going to get stuff.
They're creating fighting behind them.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's what Travis Sanudo did to me in Vegas. I don't mean to skip ahead. But he was super smart for doing that because I never had the opportunity to open up the corner and try to get an exit on him.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because no matter what, I was getting stuffed if I did that.
And actually, to add to that, it's that little bit of a chess match where you've got, as the attacker or the person being attacked, right? You're trying to anticipate what's going to happen next, whether you're trying to make it happen on the person in front of you or it's going to happen to you. And you say that, and the first thing that popped in my head was actually the Tri-C race just a couple of weeks ago, and Barrett Harrelson's leading, and I'm trying to track him down. There's one corner that I take a massively different line than him. But if I don't time it right, he ends up in my way in a big time, and I'm host. And actually, it happened in the last heat race where I jump in there, it's a hairpin, and the timing's not right, and he ends up right in my way, and I have to check twice. You get on the brakes, and you're like, I'm going in there, and the last second, like, it's not going to work, and a little bit more brake.
Yeah, you go from slowing down to trying not to hit the guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that second piece, well, now I'm slow as hell. And there he goes. I'm like, all right, well, we're not doing anything this time. And you remember that, and you use it for the next time. But just that having that, trying to adjust for what's going on in front of you, and also to your point, if you stack the field, now it makes it real tough to make that adjustment.
Well, I was going to say, that's like the big picture thinking that we're always trying to teach in the Arrive and Drive series is like forward thinking. And, if you go defensive, you're going to know that, you're going to sacrifice speed, all this other kinds of stuff. You have to know.
Knock-on effect, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And there's the racecraft of trying to, when to pass the person at the right moment without losing as much speed. But then there's the racecraft of when you're leading, right? Letting it carry out a little bit more to delay that pass from behind you, or like you're doing, creating the infighting behind you.
Yeah.
Because you're bringing everyone back. You may get back to the gas a little bit later or whatever. Now everyone's catching into that corner. And
to Kristen's point, like if you got a cat who can't figure out how to get around you, if you can get third place, start effing with him, that might create the gap that you needed.
And now all you need
especially if you're off the pace.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If you,
the
if you
more
don't
they
have
fight,
the better it's going to be for you.
Yeah.
You just need a few corners after that of a clean section to gap them a little bit and maintain it.
Yeah.
You know?
There's been so many times because everybody always goes to block, but they'll drive in there nice and deep, and they won't stop it on the apex. That's what I see a lot of people do, is just try to end up just not getting crossed completely.
Right.
You know what I mean? They end up being side by side on the exit, and maybe sometimes it'll go your way. A lot of the times it won't. I try my best, like you said, not to give them that opportunity at all.
Right.
And basically just park them on the apex. I always try to make them go outside or into my rear bumper.
Right.
And if they do one of those two, they're never going to get around you.
For sure. So we're in cadets. We go back to the career path that is Christian Brooks, and you're in cadets, and things are going pretty well. We talked about the different things that you were doing and the fact that you really started to find the next level when you're doing the SCUSA stuff, whether that be the Pro Tour stuff or Supernats. If I think I got the dates right, what I remember first seeing a Christian Brooks, I got it down here in 2011, so I believe I might have seen your last cadet season before you moved on to juniors. And at that point, I don't remember ever seeing you in anything other than a BRK Blue Energy Kart. And it may have just been your first transition, but when I met you, you were one of the cadets to beat at that time. And you weren't the only one. There was some other ones that were pretty stout too, but that's the first time I remember, and that would have been 2011, I believe. Kind of sounds like that might have been your last, because if you were born in 2000, as you said earlier, 11 years old. What is maybe that last year in cadets? Again, you're talking about I'm talking about BRK, so you've made the transition from pits. Maybe just put a cap on that cadet season or that cadet career, transition from pits. You go to Buddy Rice karting, and then you move on to juniors. Kind of cap off cadets. What was the whole transition from pits to BRK like, and why? And maybe the shining achievement of cadets altogether.
Yeah, so that was probably my most successful season in cadets.
Okay.
Back then it was actually Tony Kart West.
Right.
Before it was BRK.
That's right. Okay.
Obviously ran by Buddy Rice, and I had some awesome people around me. Matt Johnson, Seth Nash. That's how I know Seth, because he was the team manager for Tony Kart West.
That's right.
And we definitely had some really, really good stuff. We constantly tested with the Rotax stuff. We had Freck on the motors, and he gave me some unbelievable power. Like, honestly, it was too good. That's the only time I've ever had power that I can honestly say didn't help me in my career, because I didn't have to push as hard as I should have. But we won everything. I mean, it was fun. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
That year we won the 2011 Rotax Nationals, which obviously back then was really, really big.
Yeah.
We won the IKF race here. Not that there was a lot of people in Rotax, but Colton was second, so we love that.
Not a lot of people, but the right people to race.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As long as the right people are there, then...
At least Colton was here, and to his point.
Yeah, exactly. That's the picture I post, actually. It's funny you brought up 2011 IKF, because that's here.
Right.
So we won that, and that was actually all on Tony Kart. And I don't believe...
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so that was on Tony Kart, and I think we switched to the Energy halfway.
Oh, was it? Okay. Well,
that
that
season.
makes sense, because I actually didn't get here until June.
Yeah.
So, in my very first event that I worked here was the IKF Grand Nationals, as far as a competition karting event. So I was
think that
showing
might have
up
been my last race on
in
the
Tony.
Kart.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's why I'm remembering the blue cart, because that's how the season finished. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so
Rotax champion, IKF champion, and both in the Rotax.
both in the Rotax. I think we finished like third in KPV.
Is that what the minis had, the turbo?
Oh, yeah.
It was, wasn't it?
Oh, and my thing had turbo. Let me tell you. It was nuts.
All these little kids doing a little hoppy deal on the straightaway.
We used to swerve. I used
Oh,
to
God.
swerve on the straightaway and drop tires in the dirt to make the rear tires spin to hit turbo. I used to loosen the cap on the carburetor down the straightaway. I did everything, bro. Pinching the fuel line on the straightaway all
Oh,
the time
that
to
was a
lean
big
it out.
thing, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, we knew all the tricks. We knew all the tricks. But yeah, we had really, really good power there. And then eventually we got going with the energy stuff, and we had a lot of success with that too.
I mean, that coming out of the gate hot. Yeah.
I think honestly, because now the energy is a super, super popular cadet chassis, and I think that kind of stemmed from what we did with Buddy, because we won so much with the energy. And
were you kind of nervous about switching from the Tony to that?
No, I loved it because I love the colors.
Oh, cool.
I wasn't even thinking about the performance
or anything
at all, to be honest.
The look of the go-kart.
I loved it.
Blue looks better than green, so let's go racing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Blue, chrome, the helmet matched. I was stoked. And yeah, we had a lot of success to finish out that year. And then we started in junior 2012.
Before you do that, there's a few events that happen at the end of a year. How did Supernats and things like that go to finish out your cadet career?
Okay, my Supernats energy season wasn't the best. We finished 6th, and obviously you never want to finish one spot off the podium. But it didn't go as well as the year prior. We podiumed the year before.
How'd you feel going in?
I felt good. We used to run. A memory comes into my mind. We used to have my dad's, like I said, nuts, and he used to wrap my seat. I don't know if you've ever seen that before, but my dad used to wrap in vinyl wrap just to make it look cool. I used to have logos on my seat. The car looked amazing. So going into it, I was like, I've got the best card out here. This is bitchin'.
Yeah.
We're gonna win this thing. But I just don't think the chassis. It was always really. It was a loose cart.
Mm-hmm.
And
so
I just couldn't find the grip there.
Yeah.
Low grip there, yeah.
Exactly. But no, I mean, it wasn't terrible. It was 6th place, but we were so used to winning that year.
That makes it a little challenging.
Yeah, so we were upset, but, we...
that is the funny part.
It didn't take us long to move on.
That is the funny part about Supernats, though, is you can win everything the whole year, and you don't win Supernats, and everyone forgets about you winning everything else.
Yeah,
like,
isn't that crazy?
Man,
yeah, like you just won the Pro Champ. I mean, now it's Supernats is its own thing, right? You won the Pro Tour Championship. Oh man, that's awesome. How'd you do Supernats? I don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that I've ever had that experience. I haven't.
No. We can't.
Luckily,
my
karting career is kind of opposite.
Okay,
I've always just been really good at Supernats, and everything else like you said, completely forget about.
Well, must have started in juniors because so far cadets sounded pretty damn good. The rest of the season.
try to remember that point later on as far as whole year versus Supernats. I want to hear your opinion on that. But yeah, moving on to juniors. I mean, dude, you're progressing quick. You're with the right people. You got the right support behind you. As you start to transition into juniors now, are you thinking still karting, or is your dad starting to think, man, maybe we can move up the ladder as far as overall motorsports? Maybe looking at cars.
I'm sure my dad was thinking it,
mm-hmm.
but we didn't talk about it much because I think he just wanted me to focus.
Okay. Were you still with BRK when you moved in?
Still with BRK.
Okay.
Yeah, and 12 is a tick young at that point.
Oh, right. Yeah.
At that time in the in years gone by, if you will, 14's pretty doable. I know that there's younger kids that have gotten a chance to try some car stuff, but 12's a tick young still.
Yeah.
So it's not till you start getting to the ass end of juniors that you really start getting
becomes
all the opportunity.
Available, yeah.
Yeah. So you move on to juniors, and you're still on the energy cart, and how does that go?
Yeah, so we're on the energy with Buddy, and it was up and down. Honestly, that go-kart at the time wasn't the best for the MG tire. And it took us a lot of testing and development to make it go. In my opinion, you can make any chassis go. It's just about how much work you put in.
Sure, sure.
Obviously, the OTK, you can lay it on the track.
Kind of an easy button, yeah.
If you have power, you can go run it neutral anywhere and win. That's just the way it is. And with the energy, it wasn't like that. Sometimes it'd be amazing, but you would go one heat, you'd be 3/10 clear. The next you'd be 3/10 off. It was just very hit or miss.
Very fine line.
Depending on the track condition, for sure. In the cold, it was always super fast, but once the track got greasy, it just didn't really have the grip. But yeah, I think it wasn't easy. I think my driving wasn't perfect then. I had to...
You mean flipping the switch from being somewhat dominant in a cadet and then going into... I mean, it's a completely different package, right? Now you're in an adult kart. Do you remember that transition? Do you remember it being challenging for yourself? Because I know for kids, we talk about, Kid Karts to Cadets being a bit of a jump, right? You got to start using the left foot every once in a while. But that cadet to junior jump, especially if you're a small cadet, and I don't remember you being terribly small as a cadet last year, but that change, you remember that vividly at all?
Yeah, definitely. I think when we first got into the junior thing, I was instantly winning at the regional level, like the SCUSA Pro Karts, and I think we were still doing some IKF stuff back then. But it took us a while to start winning at the Pro Tour stuff. I don't even think I won a Pro Tour my first year in junior with the energy. I think a lot of that has to do with being on the energy, but we definitely learned a ton. And that's one of my favorite things about racing is you learn from struggling. And if you just go out and win every race, you're learning nothing. You're learning nothing about racecraft, nothing about how to tune your chassis, nothing about feedback. You're never going to
progress.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're never going to progress. So for me, I think that struggle helped me a lot for the future seasons. But yeah, I mean, we always were testing, getting better, improving every single session, Something about Buddy's program, which honestly, Buddy's program changed the entire sport of karting, because he was the first one that really had these massive paddock setups and
right.
all the helmet racks.
Brought
and
the race car thing to
hospitality
karting.
And this, he knew it from the race car thing. He did IndyCar, Indy 500 winner. He knows what he's talking about.
Right.
And honestly, he really is good, not only with the go-karts, with the race cars, with setups. And I mean, it was killer. We had our own engine program. Everything was there at the track. And, I feel really fortunate to have been put in the positions I was as a young kid, because it really just the people around me is why I've learned so much.
Yeah. And
I mean, Buddy's a big reason why I feel like I became the driver I am now. Just trial and error, and he would tell me the way it was. And me and Buddy have had the chance to work with each other, even in different series that we'll talk about later.
Nice. So when you're doing that first year, and you said it's a bit challenging in the juniors, and I wholeheartedly agree with you, we learn more from the failures or those challenges than the successes. As you get down to the end of the year, maybe we can fast forward a smidge in your junior career. What is we talk about how you start maybe transitioning to being really good at the end of the year. Does it start right there with that first year in energy, or that first year of juniors, or how's the rest of the junior year? Because I assume you moved up early, so it would have been a 3-ish year junior career, right?
Yeah, so we did that, finished off that energy year. I think we got second in the Pro Kart Championship. I think that's second in the Pro Kart, a couple Pro Tour podiums, but never any wins. And we decided we wanted to get on OTK. And I remember the conversation.
Why did you want to do that?
Because I knew how good the OTK was at that time. And I knew that if I got on it, I'd go back to winning.
Is this because of what had happened earlier as well? You had already been on an OTK as a cadet?
I think that probably it definitely played a part. But I mean, everybody that was running that chassis at the time, the energy.
I was gonna ask. You probably had to see who was running an OTK, who wasn't, and where everyone was finishing.
Yeah, but everybody under the tent at the time was on the energy, and it was Travis Lowe, Matt Johnson, Devin Lindsay. Sometimes there was just tons of guys that were so good, and tons of guys that were consistently doing worse on this chassis. And so everybody knew.
It meant a little bit more to have results than just a good-looking go-kart.
Yeah, and it was crazy because that go-kart does so well on the tires that they run in Europe. And Mick is honestly the owner of Energy. Mick, he's unbelievable. He's such a cool guy, and his go-kart dominated in Europe while we were on them over here in the WSK stuff. But for some reason, for these tires and for the way our racetracks are completely different, it seemed like it was usually a little bit too loose. So we decided we wanted to get back on that OTK. And it's so easy to tune. I mean, back then, this would have been 2014, I believe, 2013. And, we were just super excited to get back to the front. And right when we did it, we did one race with Buddy. And eventually we decided, or no, I think he said, we don't want you on the Tony kart under our tent.
Because he was energy.
Right. Understandable.
Absolutely.
And at that same time, I think it was a few months later, Seth and Buddy parted ways.
Uh-huh.
And you guys are going to like this because you guys don't know. Seth and my father are obviously really good friends. And my dad called Seth because he was working for Anthony Willis just as a mechanic after he left.
Yeah, that's a name I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, Stewie. Love Stewie. But yeah, so he was mechanicking for Willis, and him and my dad were talking. We were like, dude, we got to make our own team, this and that. And eventually Seth's like, fine. Because at first he's like, oh, dude, well, I'm making good money here. It's a lot easier, less stress. And I think my dad kind of sucked him back into this industry and told him, let's go do our own thing. So NASH Motorsports started with my dad's trailer that we gave.
Little Rookster?
Little Rookster trailer. The Little Rookster trailer, big old 34 on it. We gave to Seth with the canopies, a couple canopies, and just stuff from MB2. So it cost us nothing. And it was perfect for both of us. So we decided to just go try out some races on the OTK, and instantly we were just winning everything. And it was just a little trailer, one go-kart, one canopy.
So it was just you guys and Seth?
Yeah.
You and your dad and Seth?
Yeah, exactly. Nice. Yeah, we did super well together.
Were you going to Pro Kart, Pro Tour, everything?
Everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Everything.
So you guys went all in on this new venture.
Yeah, exactly. And
that must have been pretty fun.
Right away, we start. Oh, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. And everybody, I mean, Seth is knows everybody in the industry. So people immediately started coming over. And then we had to grab more canopies from MB2 because we kept getting guys. And I mean, me and Seth were just talking about it a couple days ago. Can you believe what this turned into?
Right.
I mean, now he's got the biggest trailer at the track, with the biggest canopy, and all these guys, and so many drivers, and it's just nuts. I mean, it started out we just wanted to go race. We just wanted to win, because that's what Seth's about. Like, he's nuts. Seth and my dad together, absolutely insane, because they speak the same lingo, and they're like the same type of person, and they just wanted to win. And yeah, my dad really helped out at the very beginning with Seth, and then obviously Seth just took it to a whole nother level.
So you end up on the OTK and in the junior game, and things are going pretty well, as you say, winning everything. What are you winning? Are you winning a national championship? Are we doing well at Supernats? Let's talk about how this junior season, or these junior seasons, go.
So the first year of junior, we won the challenge of the America's Championship in Rotax. And that was an accomplishment because we were racing against like Austin Versieg, Kyle Wick, Selican, and the Raleigh guys were really pushing hard in the Rotax stuff back then. So to be able to beat them was pretty cool. We did a lot of the challenge stuff, lots of challenge racing. What else were we doing? We were doing Pro Kart. I feel like I don't know if I've won a Pro Kart championship in junior or not. But we did some.
You never will.
Never will. But we did some IKF stuff, and really it was like all those type of series at the beginning, and then me and my dad, Seth, and I would go to Florida for some off races and do the Florida Winter Tour because I so badly wanted to go race the best guys. And back then, the Rotax thing in Florida was insane.
Yeah.
Insane. So,
are you still doing the Grand Nationals and stuff like during this entire time?
Everything.
Yeah, okay.
Everything. I mean, it's hard for me to even remember, but we were doing everything we possibly could. Still, almost every single weekend we were racing.
Was there one event that, I mean, not necessarily like one particular event, but did you prefer As far as just fun, did you prefer pro karts, pro tours, challenge races?
A lot of success in the Rotax gig.
Yeah.
I really like the Rotax stuff because I love Sonoma.
Mm-hmm.
That track is, I don't know if you guys have had the chance to drive it.
He has had it. Yeah.
It's I'm sure you love it too. It's an amazing track. Phoenix, I really liked.
The circuit that they went on then was just like up your alley as far as tracks you got to go through.
All the tracks I really loved. So I think that series appealed to me the most. And then doing the Florida thing, I was just super excited about. Even though it didn't go crazy well, I think my best finish was 4th. I didn't get a podium that year in the junior. Because we only did 2 races, I believe, in Florida. And we kind of got shafted on both of those. So it didn't go too great. But we definitely had a lot of fun in those series. And yeah, like I said, that was the very beginning of all of it. And then I started getting teammates like Justice Lepe, if you guys remember him. And
absolutely. And
Royal McKee and all these guys that honestly super talented drivers. So we all started pushing each other so hard come the end of that season. That's when we started winning a lot of Pro Tour stuff. Jesus gave me great engines that year. Everything was dialed. We swept at Dallas. I remember one of my favorite tracks.
Was that when they had that big time rubber? The stacked rubber?
Big time rubber. That's like
the berms.
And we swept that. I'll never forget. Double H cut axle, chassis all the way down, hard seat, scraping the floor. Like the setup was just insane because the track was it was stupid. It was stupid. But yeah, we ended up having a lot of success in that last season. And I was on the verge because I was 14, and I think you can stay in junior at 15.
Yeah. It's your option, your bubble year.
Yeah, so we decided to move up early since we had such a good year. We're like, all right, let's get out of here. Let's go see what we can do with the big boys. I used to remember my mom always asking me, do you think you can beat Matt Johnson? I used to always say, yeah, of course I can. Of course I can. And so it's funny that first year of senior, and like I was just like out of control aggressive. Like nobody was expecting it. Anybody who wanted to battle was going to get a battle. And I used to.
Do you think you were overly aggressive, or you think you were just
sometimes for sure.
Got to prove yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I think you have to be. You know what I mean? If you go out of the gate and start getting pushed around, the respect factor
probably not going to happen. What did you carry as you started the senior gig? What did you carry with you? Did you carry with you a Pro Tour championship or Supernats or like that at the end of the junior gig?
So I had Challenge of the Americas Championship. I'm not sure about Pro Kart. I think I might have Pro Kart, but I'm not sure. We had probably like 4 or 5 Pro Tour wins, no championship. We had 4 podiums at Supernats. Still have never won Supernats. I have like 9 podiums.
Wow.
Unbelievable. And it still pisses me off every day. That's why I can't quit go-karting. I have to win at least one.
You've been at the front all the way through cadets. Well, hell, Kid Karts, cadets, and juniors. And going into seniors, you feel like, hey, everybody, I'm Christian Brooks, and you better recognize, oh, wait a second, elbows are up here, and these boys know how to race.
Yeah, and I think it was good because I was, like, I had respect, but none for my competitors at all. Like, on the racetrack, oh my gosh, I did not care who you were. Like, I didn't care if you were Matt Johnson, who had 20 years experience, one of the best drivers. The driver I looked up to, he was like my older brother, you know, and I was just like, it's crazy to think that I did that because I used to punt Matt right away, right out of the gate. Like, we had a race at Adams, and instantly I had pace. And I was back on an energy, actually, because Mick sent us an energy cart, and he's like, oh, run this thing. Tell me what you think. I made some changes, and it was good. It was a good chassis, and it's always cool to win on something that's not OTK.
Absolutely.
Right.
You know, and we were at Adams, and obviously Matt has many laps around there. And we got the go-kart dialed, and in Heat 1, we were just battling, and he got me with like 2 to go. And you know the last chicane at Adams before the right onto the straight. I kept stuffing him in that last right and driving him off onto the straightaway. And I did it in the heat race, and I beat him. No penalty. And then in the second heat race, because Pro Kart used to have 2 heat races,
yeah,
the
they
final.
did. Yeah.
And in the second heat race, I did the exact same thing. Like, it was dirty. Like, I was going completely through the dirt and just potting them off.
Oh, man.
And so I tried to do it again, and we were hitting tires on the way to the line. I ended up beating him in the heat race, but I got a penalty, which I completely deserved. And we go to the final, and I'll never forget, Seth decided to go up with the rear of the chassis, and at Adams that works well because it rotates so much better, and it keeps a little more nimble on the front. And it was so fast. I mean, it was just stupid. We went from Matt had better pace than us to us doing 0.3 a lap on him. So we ended up checking out, and that was I think the beginning of Matt and I's like little rivalry we had, because I went from being the kid that's why I don't want to race Blake, because I taught Blake so much that I know, and now I don't want him to be beating me.
Right, yeah.
So I'm not doing any KA races.
Yeah, you're on the top level. Wait, who's it? Blake? No, sorry, I'm busy that day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I'll come out and drive with them just as long as nobody's watching. But
I'll tell you, Matt. I don't know if it's a story per se, but it's definitely one of the memories I have for you and Matt. And it was actually in the wet, and it was here. And I want to say you're on a CRG.
Energy.
Was it Energy?
Energy at the time, yeah.
And we're doing counterclockwise. Is it Energy? Man, I swore it was. I swore you had the orange cart, but I think he's doing the smoking fast deal.
Yep.
And it might have been PRD. I can't remember what the hell you guys are driving.
It was Leopard.
Was it Leopards?
Leopard, yeah.
And you guys just duke it out, and it comes right down. And it's just the two of you. There's nobody else. And you're trying defense. He's trying over-unders, and you guys are going left and right. And you guys are side by side just before we made the adjustment. So this is back in like 2015 or whatever. I think it might have been like that one race that Calsby put on, I think is what it was. Anyways, you guys come onto the straightaway, and between the two of you guys, and you guys come across, and there's that wall, and you come onto the straightaway, and at Cal speed, it's all effed up, right? You want to get off of the racing surface for the grip. And you guys it's between the wall and you two guys, and there's just enough room, and you guys are like, photo finish at the line, just duking it out. And I believe you crossed the line just a tick in front of him. But it was it was certainly the best race of the day. But seeing like these two different, like the up and coming talent, if you will, because we're talking, you're into seniors by a couple of years. And obviously Matty J, who's a Masters, who's running senior, just showing the timeless talent there. And the two of you guys just doing tricks. It was so much damn fun to watch.
Yeah, no, definitely racing with him taught me so much. And because we went from being such good friends to when we were racing each other like that, we did not like each other for probably 2 years.
Oh, really?
And we wouldn't talk. We would
keep clear of each other.
We had no respect for each other. Zero. But it was so cool because that's just like how passionate we are about motorsport, and that's how bad we both want to win.
Right.
And obviously, we both realize that now. Matt's one of my best friends in the world.
Right.
And
it means a little bit more the overarching family aspect of the friendship than it is just whoever crossed the line first.
Yeah.
At least while you're in the paddock. Once the old shield goes down, I'm sure it goes back the other direction.
It's exactly. And people understand that, especially if you've been in the sport as long as we have. You've been through many races. You've had many friends. But once the visor goes down, there's none of that anymore. You just got to look out for yourself, really. And obviously, you want to race teammates a little better than you'd race
another random on the track.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to be respectful. Like, you're not going to go pop Mike off the track, obviously, but
he does in testing.
I killed him pretty good earlier this year.
But
really quick, so two Matt Johnson stories that he told me over text. Rivalry with him at Homestead. You got anything on that? Racing Matt at Homestead?
Racing Matt at Homestead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The Homestead one's really good. So I think we kind of covered most of the rivalry. Okay. Before you even asked.
Right.
So that's perfect.
There'll be another one. So yeah, we'll do this one, then get on to that second part of it.
Yeah. So, like I said, the rivalry it taught me so much, and I'm so thankful that Matt was able to push me as hard as he did, because he's so damn good, and so much experience, and he's so aggressive. And if I'm gonna bring up the rain story, I should bring up Lancaster because he'll laugh at this one.
Perfect. That was it. All right.
Of course, that guy. And so after these pro kart races with Johnson, where I'm podding him off and like I'm driving him properly dirty, and we go to Lancaster, and we like make amends before this race, right?
It's a good time to do it before a street race.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, let's not crash each other. He's like, all right, dude, it's all good. Whatever.
Finish.
Was the markers like, okay, Christian's wrecked Matt like 8-1? Because of course you're definitely gonna be the one trying to say, hey, I'm ahead on this markers.
Yeah, let's call it even now.
Yeah,
I think it probably was that way, and I'll admit it, I had this one coming, but honestly, I think we were going into turn 2 at Lancaster, and he broke way too early. Like, I don't know what he was thinking. He was looking out at the fans and lifted way too early, and I got into the back of him.
He's probably trying to celebrate earlier or something like that.
Yeah, whatever the case may have been, but we were in second and third or third and fourth, and I got into him, and he went wide, almost at the barrier, and I passed him, and then I said sorry. Like, I was like, sorry, but I didn't give the spot back.
Right.
Because I was fast. I was coming for the guys ahead. So
is this final or pre-final?
This is final.
Okay.
So I'm like, sorry, bro. And so I keep pushing. And we're catching up to we catch up to Elliott. We get around him, Austin Elliott.
I would think that if you cannot separate yourself from Johnson at this point,
Oh,
you know
It's gonna be a bad ending.
and I know what's coming because I'm no dummy. Like I already know how the season has been going, and so I'm looking back and Matt's behind me. I'm like, damn it! I'm like,
you got Elliott, he got Elliott. You're second, third now.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going into the hairpin on the last lap, and I look back, and he is directly on my bumper, and I knew right away I need to start braking now, and it's like way before the corner because I knew he was going to try to barrier me good.
Right.
And so I got on the brake extremely early and ran completely locked up for like 75 feet at least. And he was just full throttle pushing me all the way until he completely missed the corner, pushed me into the barrier. Luckily, I was able to get it turned around in time to back it into the barrier.
Okay.
But he was going for the kill. Like he was going to properly kill my chassis.
We are done.
Oh yeah, we were done.
Did you put his hand up and say sorry?
And some
common courtesy,
Oh no, trust me, he wasn't sorry. He wasn't sorry about that one.
So obviously you guys had no shot at the dub.
Oh no, we were in second and third at this time.
Second, third, and first is so.
First is like Sia though.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe we could have been third and fourth. I'm not sure, but I remember
he's
he
definitely not doing that for first. He would have tried to pass you or dump you for first, but he's not going to wreck you for anything other than second.
Exactly.
Because that's one of those wrecks that like I might get tangled up, but he's still wrecked.
Well, and that's the thing too. In that hairpin, it's absolutely doable to shove a dude through there and still make it through. You just really don't want that guy to be up your butt going to the final corner.
Oh, he was going for the kill. He was straight going for the kill, dude. Left it flat all the way through the braking zone. I knew it was coming. Like, you'll talk to him tomorrow, and he'll be laughing because I broke so early that he could have literally went around me and got me by 2 seconds. But instead, he decided to stay directly on my bumper and just full throttle me.
I guess he has a knack for wrecking people under the NASH tent because there's a photo I saw of him knocking Travis Lowe.
Oh, yeah, at Lancaster.
At Lancaster out of the final quarter.
Oh, we talk about these stories so much.
That's so cool, though,
Season 3 might need to have a Matt Johnson do.
Yeah, exactly.
More stories. So all that's Lancaster stuff that's going on, how deep into the senior... You talked about going in hard with the senior stuff with elbows up. I got to make a name for myself. I need to get some respect, or maybe you didn't respect others enough. How deep is that story? Like, is that like 2-3 years in, or is that first year or what?
So that's all first year of senior racing. Man. So
you certainly made a name for yourself.
Oh yeah,
maybe not the right one.
Yeah, no, but it definitely nobody wanted to race me wrong. Like, everybody showed a lot of respect for me after that, and I grew a lot as a driver after that. And honestly, from Matt sending me into the wall,
right,
it taught me you need to be aggressive but calculated. And then I learned the calculated part. and that really carries into the next season where we had tons of success. So let me think. So that would have been 2015, or are we in 2016?
15 I think was your first year.
Okay, so 15 was the first year senior.
16.
And then 16. So
you know how I can tell? Because you were born in 2000.
Yep, exactly.
Those who play the at-home game.
Why are we playing this game then? What are we doing?
This is why
here?
I never took math class. It's too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's why.
His parents are like, "Hey, we're gonna make it easy on the old boy.
Yeah, we can't subject teachers to this.
So
we'll just say he's gonna be a race car driver.
Yeah,
keep him out of public eye.
We go into the next season, and we have some good results. And at this time, we start out the year on the OTK, and now we're doing basically only Pro Tours, Pro Karts, challenge races.
Not doing the local stuff.
Yeah,
no more local
off
stuff.
The map. Okay.
And actually, I skipped past a little bit of car stuff that happened in the past, but
You did car stuff when you were younger, Nat?
yeah. So I'll hit that right now. So when I was 14, I won from I think it was from after I won the U.S. Nationals,
Rotax.
Rotax used to have a program that was sponsored from the Road to Indy, and Max Speed Group, I think, funded it. They would basically bring a driver or a couple drivers from. This is actually pretty cool. They'd bring a couple drivers that they chose that they thought were.
Is this like the scholarship program or the shootout program
exactly.
or whatever?
So it was the shootout program. If you can make it to the shootout, so basically you get a free test day.
Right.
And the test day is in the official Road to Indy series test. So you're racing
at Sebring, right?
So this one was actually at Homestead Miami Speedway.
Okay.
And it was cool because me and Askew were the two that got picked.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so me and Askew went together, and it was super cool. I'm glad to say that I was faster than Askew in the first 2 sessions. And
how many sessions were there?
5, I think.
Yeah, first 2 sessions.
Yeah. But he was also like 4 years older than me, and
thanks for being on the show, by the way.
I learned how to drive stick like a couple days before I went down there. Yeah. So
I've heard that story before too. Oh, we've got this opportunity. Crap, I gotta shift gears.
Yeah.
Grandpa's Scion in the COC parking lot.
Let's go.
Forget. But we went and did that. So that was like my introduction into race cars. But we were always still thinking about doing well in the karting scene because I was still so young.
Yeah, and again, that happened end of juniors then. That's pretty cool that you got a chance to test out the car after the junior deal and then, continue the karting deal. Like you said, you're still trying to be a top-level driver, if you will, or get after it in karts. The second year of karts, you had a pretty big splash, right? So how does it go from there?
Yeah, so basically we started out the season on the OTK chassis, and it went super well. I mean, we started off really strong. I had the experience, obviously, from the season prior, and good power. Everything was lined up great, and we had a lot of success. We won the Challenge Championship again that year. We won the Pro Kart Championship. We won a few Pro Tour races. Didn't win the championship Pro Tour, unfortunately, but we had a lot of success. And at this time, I really wanted to race in Europe. That was my plan, right? And
why is that? I mean, before I remember you saying something about you want to run in Florida because you want to go against those guys. Are we kind of replicating that, but now it's Europe?
And I had went and done the Rotax World Finals so when I won these Challenge of the Americas Championships.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I was going over to Italy and doing the World Finals.
Totally forgot about that.
That race is
not just the Grand Nationals, but you're getting a chance to do World Finals.
Yeah. And World Finals, I mean, it's nuts, dude. I mean, everybody's on the exact same chassis. You're not even allowed to run. Like, basically, the only thing you can change is seat position. And you get to choose from like 3 different gears.
See, now that's
wow.
It's so cool, and all the best drivers in the world.
Yeah.
We just had Paul Bonilla on the show just a couple episodes ago.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and that was something I did not know, and he shed light on that. I thought you could still tune the chassis the way you want to, and he goes, "No, you basically here you go. Here's the chassis, and okay, yeah, you can adjust some caster." and some camber or whatever with the pills that you're given, but you're not swapping out axles. You're not swapping out, spindles and shit. You got what you got. And I didn't. So you're saying you could change out the seat position, but not the seat itself.
Yeah.
So it's very much, here's your window, go get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
And it makes you drive. You know what I mean? You got to be on it because you have all these guys that. And at the time that I first went, I went in junior, and it was like my second year junior when I won my first challenge championship. And it was nuts. I wasn't prepared for it. We did pretty well. I made the final every year that I went. And I think the first season was in Spain. Yeah, the first season was in Spain. Beautiful place. Definitely had a really great time, but the rain racing was tough out there because those guys are really, really good in the rain.
Right. Happens a little more often there.
Yeah, I've got an awesome picture of like a 25 car pileup.
Oh, wow.
And me just going hard left trying to avoid the whole thing.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, nice.
With a bent axle. But I think we ended up getting like 12th that year.
What chassis were you guys on?
So every year it kind of sucked because every single year that I did it was a SOTI kart.
Ah, okay.
And the SOTI, it's so easy to drive because it has so much grip.
So you're saying it sucked because it wasn't an OTK?
No, not even that. It just sucks because I wanted to try something different.
Oh,
okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wish it could have been SOTI, then Burrell, then Praga.
Just
then
try something different.
Yeah, just because it's
Did
cool.
you do what so many other people have done? And we're kind of derailing here straight to the World Finals, but did you end up grabbing a chassis in advance to test on like so many other people have done before?
I'm not sure if we did. I know we planned to, but I think we ended up not actually doing it.
Yeah.
Because I think we realized, like, okay, I've ran Energy, I've ran CRG, I've ran this, I've ran that.
We're going to go heavy on your ability to adapt versus testing.
And you're gonna
a go-kart's a go-kart.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have to learn the new engine at least. This isn't like what we talk about with Dodson where he's changing everything. It's the same engine.
I was going to say, I think Paul ran like a DD2 one year or something like that.
Yeah, he got it for DD2, yeah.
Did you do any of that, or was it just the single speed stuff you went over there for?
Yeah, for me it was always single speed.
Okay.
I never raced DD2. A couple shifter events here and there, but no, mostly single speed was what I had the most success in.
Yeah.
Right.
And you did the World Finals in juniors in Rotax, and then twice in juniors, or once in senior?
Once in junior.
Oh, once in junior.
Twice in senior. And
SOTI kart every time.
SOTI kart every time.
Which is interesting because you made the switch from junior to senior, and they just happened to move the chassis with you, too.
Yeah, of course they did.
Yeah.
I was pissed. I was not happy about that.
I actually raced on a SOTI when I first started.
They're decent, right?
I liked them. I thought that the window was tight. It was a knife edge. And we're also talking about a guy who had no idea what the hell he was doing at the time, too. So I couldn't tell you one way or the other. But, I mean...
It's definitely the best looking kart, I think. I think the sticker kits are rad.
It was,
I like
the
them
SOTIs
too.
are sick.
Yeah, especially when we went to the McLaren Chrome and Orange.
Yeah.
That was badass.
And I had my orange helmet at the time, so it matched perfect.
Oh,
It was
nice.
Killer. It was killer. But
Anyways.
the thing, like you said, you didn't know how much you liked the SOTI kart because you didn't know what you were doing or whatever.
Yeah, but it was a knife. When it was on, it was on.
Yeah, but the thing about the World Finals is everybody's on a SOTI.
Right.
So you don't know how shit the SOTI kart is. Because,
Or how great.
Because everybody's on it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter what go-kart it is. It always feels good.
Yeah.
See, I wish I could just sign up for the World Finals because that's basically a drive and drive karting.
I
You're
was
just adapting to
literally
what you got.
just about to make that, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you should see the rental sessions.
They have rental sessions?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Is there a World Final for that?
It is nuts.
You mean like, so they have the World Finals at the track, whatever the track is, right?
Yeah.
So let's say it's a Cal Speed.
Yeah.
And they just have the Cal Speed carts, if you will, available for rentals in between or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's
They're
insane.
getting tore up.
Oh, dude. Like, dangerous.
Yeah.
Very, very dangerous.
This is why when hey, how come you don't do a tuner challenge or something like that? Because I've seen the paddock.
Yeah.
Like, I know you people. It's not happening.
No,
You're
there's no
tuners
way.
for a reason.
Oh, nice.
Get you to
I
fix
remember
it after.
in Portimao in Portugal, I was going down the straightaway and I was tucking
This is in one of the rental cars.
in one of the rental
Yeah.
car sessions. So I'm in my T-shirt
Of course you are.
and I'm and the straightaway so long. It was an awesome track, and I feel this like thing hit my armpit. I thought it was a rock, and I'm like, ow! Like what was that? And it was a bee that stung me in my armpit.
Oh, I've had that
Oh,
happen.
I've had that too, yeah.
In your armpit, really?
Well, I've had a
on
bee
my
sting
chest.
me.
Oh, okay.
And over here, and over here.
Yeah. I've had a bee sting me on track before. Yeah.
Okay.
That sucks.
Yeah, so I was like, what the heck? And I was just totally shocked. And I paid like $25 for the rental session. So once I pulled the bee out of my armpit, I'm like, screw that. I'm not pulling into the pits. And I threw the thing on the ground, and it hurt so bad because I never got the stinger out.
Yeah.
And
even if you do, it'll still hurt.
I finished the rest of the session in massive pain. And these big Portuguese bees, bro. Oh, disgusting.
Murder
Huge.
hornets?
Oh, dude, they were huge. And I pull into the pits, and I remember Jake Craig, we just did a session, and I'm like, bro, because like I couldn't really properly see my armpit.
Right.
And I pulled it down. I'm like, Craig, what does this look like? And he's like, oh. And then I'm looking down, and there's just a massive mountain on my armpit. I guess I'm allergic to bees. And I pulled off the track, and I pulled out the stinger, and it was almost like an instant, like a balloon, just like all that
Holy
pressure.
crap.
Oh, it was gnarly, dude, gnarly.
Man. You're like,
What a rental cart story.
all the air
It was so weird.
fart coming out of your armpit.
He's like, yeah, World Finals, a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Where is this at again?
That was in
Portimao.
Portugal, Portimao.
He's like never going back to Portugal. He's like, screw
Oh,
this place.
Murder
I
hornets
would.
over
Yeah.
there.
Oh, I've got a lot of
Man.
I remember sitting in the like, I guess you can call it VIP section for like the parents or whatever.
Mhm.
And I remember Crawford went into turn 1, and I forget what happened, but he went in and either his throttle stuck or his brakes went out, and he hit the wall so hard, flew out of the cart, like stuck into the fence.
We're not talking about rental carts anymore.
No,
this time.
real cart, real cart.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the World Finals, honestly, I was so excited to go, and it was the best experience of my life, from the traveling to the food to just being with my family, and then how intense it is. With me and my dad going to war, everybody's got these like mechanics that are paying $3,000 a day.
Right.
You know, factory mechanics. And it's me and my dad. It was so badass. I loved it.
It just popped in my head. World Finals or Supernats comparison?
Oh, good question.
That's a great question. It's two totally different races, but two extremely competitive races, obviously.
Right. And I say Supernats and not really say Rock Vegas, just for the the ease of the comparison, because I know you've done both. But
yeah, so I'm gonna tell you what I like more about Supernats is I like the barriers, because if you overstep your boundaries, then you're gonna suffer the consequences.
A little more street course-ish.
Exactly,
Okay.
and I love that. I've always been good on the temporary circuits, but at the same time, I love the fairness of the World Finals, how everybody's on the same chassis.
Right.
Yeah.
And, for me, I wish we could do Supernats all in the same go-kart. Would be a dream. But, no, I mean, they're both two unbelievable races. I've had more luck at Supernats, but...
Had more shots at it, too.
More shots at it, for sure. More shots. I did start on the front row in my first ever Supernats, though.
All right.
Front row. So
it's
it
been
wasn't
going
bad.
downhill. It's
Exactly.
It's kind of like
Exactly.
that scholarship deal, that shootout deal. Yeah. First couple of sessions, all right.
Started out strong. I've been getting worse and worse my whole life. No, but
Somebody give this kid a shot before it's over.
But they're two awesome events, and if I had to choose one, I'd choose the World Finals, only because you get to travel to a different country, which I think is pretty awesome. But I don't think the Rotax thing hasn't been as competitive as it used to be.
Yeah.
When I was there, it was nuts. Like the guys I was racing with are racing F2, F1.
Yeah.
Like Yuri Vips won the year that I went, and he's Red Bull driver in F2 that's probably going to F1 next year.
Right.
And it's like the guy Lungard who's racing IndyCar now.
Yeah.
That raced F2. Like all these guys are just...
One of the things that I'll bring up to add to that is perspective. I mean, you're a SoCal kid. Vegas is in your backyard. And the opportunity... You can just sign up for Vegas. You have to earn your way into the World Finals, right? There's only... Whether it be a Rotax one or an IME one, I guess. Getting a chance to kind of have that, the Olympics of karting, which is what, Rotax has always been billed as in that regard. One of the coolest pictures ever. All the chassis, right?
Yeah.
But point being is that if you are a European, Portugal's, or, things aren't that far away to be able to go do a, Italy race or a France race or what have you. So, all right, yeah, okay, World Finals, but I can go there on the weekend. Versus for them, like, oh shit, Vegas? That's pretty cool. I mean, they can sign up for it.
But the experience and all.
It's perspective. I mean, it'd be really cool to hear a European's perspective. The same question. Getting a chance to do a World Final and Supernats from a European's perspective or Brazilian perspective. That'd be kind of interesting. But yeah. I'm with you. Getting a chance to go do that where the onus is on me to get the job done. They got the same equipment that I do. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe you can get a bum engine or this or that or whatever, but we're on the same shit.
Yeah.
And that's pretty killer. And knowing that everybody earned their way in. Like, I'm not going against Joe Blow. I'm going against a class champion, a regional champion, a you name it champion. That's pretty killer. Talking about, we just got the fact that you got a chance to go do Europe and you get a chance to do these big things. Talking about karting, and you're still doing karting now, so it's not like you moved on all the way because we know you're doing car stuff. And before we get into your transition into cars, two things that I want to bring up is, A, I do want to get through anything else kart related that you're like, wow, that was really cool in those senior years when you were going all in on that only. But at this time, too, you said earlier, no, as a family, we weren't really going all in on cars until you start getting until you start getting senior ranks, right? And that's when it started to switch. How did that go in the family? I mean, obviously your dad went all in on a indoor kart track. Well, we're talking about, you were 5, so damn near 10 years down the lane here, and the indoor center's still rolling. You're doing pretty good, and you're turning into a pretty good kart driver, to say the least, multiple trips to Europe. What is the conversation like to step up? Because I know we are absolutely talking about moving up the ladder. How do you guys make that transition from kart specifics, or I should say kart focus, to moving on up to cars while still doing the karting thing full time?
Yeah, so I think we took a bit of an unconventional route up the race car ladder. I could tell you it was probably in 2015 when my dad first started talking about, like, hey, you want to go start driving race cars? I mean, yeah, of course.
Inside your first year as senior? Inside my first year as senior,
yeah. So actually, Alejo Fernandez, if you guys remember who that is, who raced for Buddy Rice, very good friend of mine. His brother David started a rallycross team. And
that's right.
I mean, you see rallycross just like how we were talking about earlier. You see the banging, the crashing, the jumping, the fans, everything. It's unbelievable.
It's exciting.
Red Bull Global Rallycross was huge back then.
Right.
So we decided might as well give it a test day.
And they had it was a global lights.
GRC Lites, exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So it's kind of that step ladder.
Yeah. So 350 horsepower, all-wheel drive, 4-cylinder, bitchin' car.
Was it all spec car?
It was all spec in GRC Lites.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so all
made
made
the sticker kit on it.
All made by OMSE in Sweden, I believe. Yeah, I think it's Sweden. But awesome car. It's got some decent travel, so you can hit some huge jumps. But anyway, so we started doing this at Willow Springs.
And was Alejo and David, they were the catalyst there? Like, you were thinking about car stuff and, hey, we know these guys, or how did that come about?
So Alejo had already done a season.
Okay.
And I helped Alejo when he first started racing go-karts. I was still younger.
I was going to say a little bit older than you,
Alejo. This is even back when I was like 12 years old, when I was running the Energy Junior, 13, whatever.
Yeah.
Alejo had no idea what he was doing at the time.
Sure.
And so I was always helping him because I was winning in the junior stuff, helping him, coaching him, watching some video.
And he was new to karting.
He was new to karting, super cool guy. So I was like, we were really good friends, and we just I helped him out. And once he did the lights thing, I just fell in love with it. And his brother David is a super cool guy.
Yeah, he is.
So we decided, let's go do a test day. I mean, they're good friends. They're going to give us a good price. And it was AF Racing. It was their team. You know what I mean? So
right. And where do you do a test day for GRC Lites? Where would you go? Or where did you go, I should say?
Willow Springs.
Okay.
So it was on the Horse Thief. I've tested there many times. I've driven at Willow in a few different cars, but the Horse Thief, awesome track, super big elevation changes. And the first day we went out.
And all on road?
All asphalt.
Okay.
Asphalt. And it was, I fell in love. I mean, the way with that car, the way you can rotate and position the car with the all-wheel drive is so different, because if you go in too hard, if you have the correct rotation, you can start cracking back on the throttle, and you're actually getting sucked back towards the apex,
right?
Because of the all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
So I really, really like that, because my driving style is drive it as hard as you possibly can. Most of the time I drive it a little bit too hard. So in that car, it fit my driving style perfectly. So I really, really had a good time driving that. And immediately we were like, let's do it. Like,
okay.
Screw it. Let's do it. Me had no idea what kind of dollars it was going to take to race or anything. I'm still...
This is no different than the Munchkin Christian Brooks telling Dad, "Hey, let's go race. Yeah. Doesn't matter what it is."
Yeah.
And Dad figured it out.
Yeah. So
same story.
Exactly. My dad wanted to do it really bad, and I mean, I was just honestly blessed to be able to be in that position.
Right.
So we ended up doing that first season of Red Bull Global Rallycross at the time, and it's so funny because Seth was just in here and we were talking about my first ever Rallycross race. Seth was spotting for me.
Where's that?
Oh, cool.
Wild Horse Pass, Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
So awesome track. And it's so funny. The whole entire first practice day, I could not hit the jump for the life of me. Like something so simple. You ride the brake up to the jump, release it right before the lip, and usually you just stay nice and flat.
And we're talking about preloading suspension.
Preloading the suspension, exactly. So then once you release it, unloads, and you get a nice even lift off the lip.
What was the deal? Was it fear? Was it I'm going to wreck the equipment? What was the deal?
You're about to find out. So basically what was happening, which later we found out on the data, was my brakes were dragging with like 25 PSI on each rotor.
Okay.
So as you can imagine, if you're going off the lip with brake on, you're always endoing. So every single time
it wasn't releasing quick.
Exactly. So if you ever go on the jump in Rallycross, semi on the brake, you're
pitching the car forward,
going on the nose bad. Like, and it can get dangerous. Like you could actually front flip. It's pretty gnarly.
And I'm not a two-wheel guy, but I know the two-wheel guys will change the pitch of their bike with either the throttle or the brake.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember seeing Travis Estrada do that. He jumped the pier or whatever in Long Beach, and they're explaining that you see he's like accelerating, and then for a second he taps the brakes and kind of levels the car back out. I'm like, holy shit, you know?
And the thing about the Lites car is the engine's based in the rear, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay.
Yeah, so the engine's in the rear of the car, so you can imagine as you hit the lip, the engine wants to keep going up, right?
And once you started to go.
So endoing bad every single time, and I couldn't, like, I was getting like whiplash. Like, they're big jumps, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I was getting whiplash. I was going through front bumpers like it was nothing, and I was running the jumps flat out, and it was still endoing. So I knew it wasn't me anymore.
And the nice thing is the data would back that up.
Oh, yes, the data backed it up. Finally,
you fix it. It's like, bro, pinned.
Yeah. So finally, we figured out that it was the braking.
Isn't it crazy that would be enough?
Yeah,
wow.
And instantly go out, hit the jump perfect. Like now I'm landing on the back tires every time. It's smooth as butter. It was beautiful. And it was funny because I knew how to drive on the asphalt right away when I got in that car. And there's this thing called Dartfish where they overlay two cars. So basically there's a camera up in the stands that it's like you have to pay for this service, and my team had it, where you can overlay you and another competitor. Mm-hmm. And see exactly the line differences as two ghosts.
Oh, probably cool. some slip angle as well. Like see how much rotation you have.
Everything.
Wow.
You could see it. It's perfect angles. Like they set up several different cameras around the track. And I remember the guy that was P1, Alex Keys, who you both know, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
He was P1 at the time because it was like his third season. He was at the top of the game in rally. And I'm watching the dartfish, and I'm gapping him through 1, gapping him through 2, gapping him through 3, and we get to the jump, and I literally park it, and he just flat out over it. And I was like 2 seconds off, and then instantly I realized, oh my gosh, I need to keep it flat over the jump. And once I did that, we found some pace, and I was jumping starts, and you're supposed to go when the red lights go out.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Or no. In this series, it was red lights, out, green.
And you were going on the out.
So I went on the out, and I was starting third. I was starting fourth, and I went directly through the inside cars that didn't even go yet, hit them, black flag, everything. So I started last for...
He's doing the exact same thing he did when he first went into senior.
Yeah.
So
crashing everyone.
Yeah.
So
displaying dominance.
Yeah, exactly. And so
expensively.
Seth's my spotter at this race, and we're starting last.
Red
in
light
the
goes
LCQ.
out. He's like, go, go, go.
It's all his fault.
Yeah.
And we started last in the LCQ, and I was just pushing for my life. And we had the best race
This is
ever.
your first race.
This is my first race
Yeah.
ever in Rallycross.
Oh, man.
Welcome to Rallycross.
Yes.
Christian Brooks.
So
Wow.
I'm in fourth place, and they take the top 3. So 3 make it directly into the final, and then 3 make it from the LCQ.
Got it.
So the LCQ is like a proper heat.
Yeah.
Like, and you got to give everything because you have in Red Bull Global Rallycross it was 10 laps.
Uh-huh.
So in the FIA stuff they run less. But I'm in fourth place, and I've got the video I'm going to show you guys later. Probably 15 cars back, I'm not exaggerating, into the last hairpin. And Seth said, if you got it, you got it. And I'm like, I'm going for it 100%. I don't care if I crash. And I drove it as deep as I possibly could. Harry Gottsacker, if you know who that is.
Mm-mm.
He runs for Herta, actually, in the Hyundai TC cars now.
Oh, neat.
I'm sure he doesn't like me very much.
We're
But-
going to find out why right now, I think.
So I lunged him down the inside. Honestly, it was a beautiful move, and it was clean. But potted him. Like in rally, you're allowed to just do a proper pot.
Mm-hmm.
And he was still right on the outside. It was clean. And we got it
and
done.
real quick, you're showing us with the hands, but pot, you're going door to door.
Door to door, exactly. Yeah. So super. I was probably going 15 miles an hour faster when I got to his door.
Okay. It's a hard door to door.
Oh, yeah. But in Rallycross, that's normal. In Rallycross, you finish with the door wide open and bodywork falling off.
So door to door, you're good. Nose it in there for any reason, even in the door, nose is bad, and moving them out of the way front to back, that's bad.
Yes.
But if you get that thing rotated door to door, you're all right.
It's perfect because I have a perfect example.
Okay.
Perfect example coming right up. So we make it to the main. My starts are horrendous, right? I have no idea how to start this thing.
Yeah, you're scared of red light again.
You have to hold the handbrake, release the clutch to this, preload, everything. It's nuts, right? And now it's super simple, but when I was a kid, I didn't know so well.
Yeah,
so,
race one.
Yeah, race 1. So we're starting 6th. We're starting last in the race.
And real quick, how old are you?
At this time, I am
16?
15.
Jesus.
Man.
15. Maybe even end of 14. No, 15. 15.
Okay.
It was 15.
Okay.
So
Can't even drive a regular car.
no,
Right.
no, did not have my license. And we go into the final, and we just have a perfect race. Like, the pace is there. The Joker lap that Seth called was perfect. Seth has no idea what he's doing yet. Like, first ever Rallycross race for both of us. We have no clue what we're doing, and we're in P3 running down like the world champion. Literally.
Nice.
Oliver Erickson, his dad, builds the cars. OMSE is his dad. And he's really, really good. But we had great pace there. And so finally we're in 4th place, and Alex Keys is right ahead of me. I take the Joker on the last lap, and Keys is right ahead of me, and I same thing, last corner, lunge him from a mile back. Like, I could have easily taken the 4th, but I'm like, podium in my first race, I'm going for it. And lunge him from probably even further back. And it sucked because you have to use the clutch to use for the handbrake to actually engage in this car.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot on my way into the corner.
Oh, man.
So I get in there, and I go to hit the handbrake because I'm deep on the brakes, like all 4s locked up, pop, 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 downshifting, hit the handbrake, 0 rotation. Boom!
Oh.
Hit him out of the way. And honestly, he
you
just
put your
went
hand up like you did to Matt?
Sorry, dude. No.
He hasn't done that yet in this story. He's prepping for Matt later.
Yeah. But we properly finished 3rd. Yes, there was some contact. Questionable penalty. Really questionable. But Yeah, so we ended up getting a penalty. And we were at the podium, and they called Alex's name instead of mine. It was terrible. But it's something I'll never forget because I can't wait to show. I'm honestly very excited to show you guys a video because it is dirty. Like, the one in the LCQ was just dirty.
I listened to an interview with Tanner Faust, and they were talking about him versus the American Rallycross versus the European stuff. And he goes, they're definitely both super aggressive. And he goes, bodywork's going to be flying off just like you said, right? But, man, they let way more go here in the States than they do over there. There's going to be a lot of contact over there in the European stuff, but it's a different kind. Both disciplines are going to, like, the drivers are going to know, okay, that's racing.
Right.
But, man, there's a little bit more of the finesse over in Europe compared to a door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember we were talking to Rob Niles when he was doing the X Games stuff.
That's right, yeah.
And he basically goes down. He's the race director for X Games. What's at was it Coliseum? Is that where they at?
It was at it was the Rallycross race at LA Live.
LA Live. And so he's it was the X Games, yeah. And he goes, hey guys, I want to make sure I'm not like it looks dirty, but I want to know that I'm making the right. You tell me as drivers, And
what's good, what's not.
It was basically like, we're supposed to it's kind of entertainment.
Yeah.
But if you boot me out of the way, it's gonna be an issue. So
yeah.
So you get this opportunity to go do this first race, and I presume you continue on through another season, and I think you do multiple seasons. Was the thought process when you get a chance to go do the Global Rallycross, or I should say the GRC Lite, it started as a test, and we're going to go for it. Are you thinking this is the path at that point as a 15-year-old going into 16?
Yeah, at this time, our plan was to become a supercar driver and eventually, like, I could see myself in Tanner Faust's shoes, Scott Speed. That's who I wanted to be.
That was the plan.
That was the plan. Ken Block, I was like, okay, he did it right. I was even thinking about doing drifting stuff and this and that.
Okay.
Like, that was my passion at the time, and I still love it. Like, if I make it, I'm definitely going back to do some rallycross stuff because it's so cool. But yeah, that was my path at the time, and it was so much easier than the road to Indy because you only have to do it once, one step, and then I'm in the top tier supercar class.
I gotcha.
And honestly, we were fast enough to do it.
And how many seasons do you do for?
I did 2.5.
Okay. You do the rallycross thing. You decide not to do it and decide to go a different path. You say you did 2.5 years. You start at 15. So 17, just shy of 18, we're not doing rallycross anymore. Before we transition out of doing that, what's going on in the karting game at the exact same time? Because I knew you were doing both. You were doing the rallycross stuff, but also still competing in karts at a high level. What are you doing in karts at that same time, and what was the thought process moving forward there?
So I always wanted to stay busy in karting because when I was racing rallycross, there was always gaps in between races, and you always want to stay busy.
Right.
At this time, I'm also running for the CRG factory. With Tanini, who's a great guy. Love all the guys from CRG. So still doing karting stuff and trying to stay in the seat no matter what I'm driving as much as I can. But eventually I realized that me and my father have always made our decisions together because he probably knows better than I do. So we decided that going the open wheel route was probably the best way to go. And
this is at the end of the deal or during that last season?
So this is at the end of the deal because we always stay 100% focused on what we're doing.
Okay.
So definitely.
So you're doing the karting thing to stay sharp.
Karting thing to stay sharp, and because I love the competition.
Okay.
And I love the people. This is my family. Like Seth's my second dad. I stay at his house always.
Right.
Like whenever you see me, I go back to Seth's house.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Yeah, it's super fun. So it's even social life. I love it. Like, it's cool. It's I can't stay home for too long. I like to travel. I like to race. It's really all I know. It's all I've ever done. So stay busy in the go-kart. And of course, every go-karter's dream is to make it to F1 or IndyCar. So I kind of realized that path is better to make a professional career out of, more sustainable, like you guys were saying. And I felt like, let's just go for this now.
Right. Did you feel like it was kind of a now or never thing? I mean, at the time, we were talking about making this transition. You're, like I said, damn near 18, which is, quote, old at this point for junior formula, with your primary competition for seats being 4 years your junior.
Yeah, exactly. So it was now or never,
right.
100%. And going into the F4 thing, 18, I was like, I guess normal age for the F4, and we did really, really well first season in open wheel. We ended up third in the championship. We should have been second. We had some really, really awesome moments in F4. Won, I believe, 5 races that season.
Wow, that's a strong start.
Yeah, so for our debut season, it was killer. I ran with Jay Howard, and the car was always good. I mean, everything was killer. And then to cap off that season after, I mean, tons of success. And, of course, you have your ups and downs. It's racing, but it was really good, especially because I had never driven anything open wheel in my life. So
wait, I was just going to ask you. So you got a chance to do that scholarship thing for a second, right?
Yeah.
And you were barely faster than Askew for 2 sessions.
Yeah.
For those who play in the at-home game. But then you figure out how to go all-wheel drive, on-road, off-road, different kind of discipline entirely. How is that transition back to a car that is, quote, proper in the way of circuit racing? You're older now, wiser, drive a street car, so it's a little bit different. You're not learning how to shift this time, but what was that transition like going from it? You're not doing the kart to car like a lot of you already did a car. Did that actually hurt you when you went to the formula car because it's so different?
You would think so, but honestly not at all, because I learned so much car control in the rallycross stuff that to this day I feel like part of the reason why I can have such good racecraft and know how late I can brake, and when it starts raining I'm able to find the grip, is because of the rallycross stuff I did.
Okay, gotcha.
And because that stuff is so unpredictable.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the open wheel, when it's all dry, it's very predictable. But
okay.
Things can come up, and if you're better prepared than the next guy, I think that experience helped me a lot. And no, definitely had a lot more confidence going into the car when I was older, because when I was more worried about shifting than I was hitting my marks. You know what I mean?
Right.
So when I got into the car again after, doing the most insane shifting and banging into people, and I knew exactly.
Right.
I didn't have to worry about these crazy complex starts and this and that.
Yeah.
So honestly, it was easy for me.
Okay.
I pushed hard. The F4 car was very easy to drive compared to the rallycross car for sure. But this is my story. Will Buxton, if you guys know who it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's the F1, I say reporter, Formula One
race
reporter.
He was the pit reporter for a long time. Yeah, I think he still does it too.
Yeah, so after this great season we had in F4, my father, my mother, my sister, and I, we're all walking through downtown Austin.
Because it's the COTA race, right?
It's the COTA race.
Yeah.
And my dad's like, "Is that Will Buxton?" And at first I was like, who's Will Buxton? But then I see him and I'm like, and I realized that.
That's Will Buxton.
I realized that is Will Buxton. And my dad is not scared to talk to anybody. And when I'm at the races at this time, I'm like trying to just not talk to anybody, just stay completely focused. My dad's the complete opposite. So I'm like, I don't really want to go talk to him. But anyway, my dad is like, runs up to him. He's like, "Will?" And he's like, "Mate." And anyway, they start rapping.
Like they've known each other for years.
Oh yeah, exactly. And it was so cool. And he calls me over. I'm like, "Hey, bro," and he was so cool, right? So we talked to him for like 30 minutes, and like he was such a cool guy. Like, you know how sometimes you meet somebody new that thinks they're like better than you or whatever, and they're trying to like turn around and walk away.
Yeah.
This guy was like, we were the ones trying to turn around, and he's way cooler than us. You know what I mean? Because he just wanted to talk to us. He really wanted to see how we were doing, and he had no idea who I was. And the coolest thing was, once we started the race weekend, we go into qualifying, and I'm purple in sector 1, 2, 3, and it was F1, so there would have only been 3 sectors. Or do they run 4?
Typically it's 3, but depending on the course.
I don't even remember how many, but we were purple all the way up until
I think Spa's got like 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
So COTA might have 4 or 5, whatever. But through the last corner, my actuator broke for the gearbox, so I couldn't upshift. So I went purple the entire lap, get to the last corner, coming to the finish line. It's a long drag to the finish. Brrr, stuck in 3rd gear, couldn't upshift, and lost like 3 seconds. Still didn't even qualify last. But had to start 25th or something.
Oh, man.
And obviously super upset, whatever. You know, you're just looking forward to getting back out there. Because I enjoy being the underdog. A lot less pressure.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, we'll just make the best of it. So we go out.
You knew you had the speed, too.
I was just about to say,
it's a lot different when you're 25th going, shit, how we get up there versus, bro,
yeah,
we have the speed.
Yeah, and this track, the draft is, I mean, the straightaways are nuts.
You did the full length or did you do the short?
Full length.
Yeah, same as F1, right?
Same as F1.
Got it.
On F1 weekend.
Right. Which is
So we have the F1. We're walking down F1 lane. I'm like talking to Verstappen, like saying what's up to Verstappen and Hamilton and all these it was unreal, dude. So cool. With hundreds of thousands before COVID.
Right.
There was hundreds and thousands of fans watching our race. You know what I mean? Like cheering for us, and we're just little F4 wankers.
But it's so cool, though, having that big of a field there for that race.
Yeah, because everybody comes to this race specifically in F1.
Right.
Yeah.
Because on average, we would have like 23 cars per race.
Yeah.
But this race, we had like 38
It's like an east-west, right? Don't they have like an east-west or something like that for the F4 championship?
Well, so this is the...
And then they combine them at this joint?
So this is the U.S. F4 championship. So this is like the... This is like the Pro Tour, right? And then you have like
the West.
Let's say this is the IKF Nationals is this series, and then you have Region 7, Region 11 IKF that comes together for this.
You see, kids, back in the day there was a thing called IKF.
Yeah, they have no idea. They have no idea.
Yeah. But point being is that everybody's showing up for this race.
Yeah, and it was huge, and people are coming from Indy Pro and coming from Europe to race it just for this one-off.
Because of who is there, who you were racing in front of. Never mind the track.
Because Toto Wolff is watching me.
Come on.
Right.
On the track.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
This is your automatic run to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we end up going from 25th to 2nd.
Come on,
in like 4 laps of green flag racing. I was just stuffing people as hard as I could. It was a great race. And it sucked because I should have won. And the guys wadded up in front of me. I got to 3rd and they wadded up in front of me, and I had to go off to avoid them. And then one guy snuck past me and I wasn't able to get back. But we had the fastest lap time by like 8/10.
Wow.
Like that track, because you can drive so aggressively. It definitely helped that I was in the back, so I was able to get the good drafts up the field.
Sure.
But like that's my favorite track. It's so cool. It's so good. So good for a karter, like just how aggressively you can drive, and I think it's just my style. And anyway, the Will Buxton part comes back into play. So I'm on the podium. My dad's freaking out, whatever. And
downplay your dad a little bit there.
Oh, my dad's freaking out. My mom is. Everybody's stoked, right? Because this is like
such a big deal. Yeah.
None of us thought we were gonna finish on the podium from the back.
No.
And I mean, on the mic, they were only talking about me because I was coming through the field so quickly. And I'm on the podium, on the Formula One podium,
man,
with the national anthem playing, and I'm looking down, and Will Buxton is sitting there hugging my mom.
Oh my!
And they're like jumping up and down together, and he's looking at me and just fist pumping.
That's so cool.
And it was just like the coolest thing ever. I'm like, wow, what a real guy. And then so he congratulates me, this and that. And then the next day we go out and win. And, so we start like 8th the next day because it's what did they do?
Do like an average finish or something like that?
It was something stupid like that. They should have never done that, but they did.
You were still like 8th.
Yeah, but
I'll take that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, right.
So you guys have an awesome F4 season, right? I mean, you're on the podium twice. You get the dub. It's awesome. We're gonna move up the ranks. We're gonna do other stuff. Explain moving up the ranks there and what that means for you and where you're at right now as far as the car stuff goes.
Yeah, well, of course, moving into the Road to Indy was a huge step in my career because It's put on this pedestal because it is very professional. You're racing with the IndyCar teams. Everybody's watching.
Mm-hmm. And this is the transition from F4 to what?
F4 to USF 2000.
So USF 2000 is the start of the road to Indy.
Yes.
F4 is, for lack of a better term, Formula Club racing.
I wouldn't say that because
it's its own championship.
You can go from USF 4 to USF 3.
Okay.
And then if you win the F3 championship, you can go to Indy Lites.
Oh,
so there's still a ladder there.
It's almost like it's like a split ladder, 2 different ways to get to, at the end of the day, Indy Lites.
Yeah.
I got you. But you're already in F4. You do well in F4. You're going to move to USF 2000, which is the beginning rung of the road to Indy.
To Indy, exactly. So as we've been talking about, you always want to go and face the best competition.
Right.
Road to Indy is the best competition.
Right.
I could have went to F3, but it's just not. It's not the same. I haven't raced it myself, so I can't speak off experience. But for me, the passion was towards the road to Indy. So we decided to do that. We teamed up with Michael Duncalf from Exclusive Autosport. He gave me a great opportunity to go race USF 2000, and we did really well together. We showed up at the first race in St. Pete, first practice session on a street course. Okay, so they put you on a street course
Crazy.
for rookies.
What can go
Crazy.
wrong?
Okay, exactly. It's nuts.
Is there a rookie test? Is there something to do in advance?
Yes.
Oh,
So
good question,
there's an official test, and
Okay.
so
And where is
if
that?
we take it back to 2013, it's at Homestead. So that's what I did then, or 2014.
That's the rookie test.
Exactly. It's not even a rookie test. It's an official test.
Okay,
So
okay.
everybody that's racing that class
Going back to
does
you
that.
saying, so Esquibel's there, you're there, he's
Yes.
4 years, you're senior. Now it starts to, okay, I
yeah,
got you.
exactly the same thing. So
Gotcha.
you can look back at the results from that test on the Road to Indy website
Mm-hmm.
now. So basically we show up to St. Pete and we go out P5 in the first session.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pause. Have you done a street course to this point?
In the car.
Well,
Yeah.
Rallycross was all
No, not rallycross.
a proper street course.
Open wheel.
Never.
If I go 3 inches too wide, bink, left front's gone.
No,
I mean,
I had not.
Running that close, so you've done karting, you've done Lancaster, you've done stuff like that. It's different in a car, and I'm not speaking from experience. It's different in a car. It's different in that scenario. What is the very first experience like on a street course right there?
You're extremely nervous on the grid.
Come on, I bet.
I'll tell you that.
I mean,
You're-
leaving the paddock like, all right, here we go, baby.
yeah.
Right?
Because you can imagine the guys put in so much work to get that car perfectly prepped for the first race.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that go out and wad it on lap 1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because the track is completely dusty.
Yep.
You're on an airstrip, a street course. You know what I mean? And the track hasn't been driven on.
Since
by
last year.
Exactly. It's completely dusty.
Yeah.
And if you
They
go
don't
out
send
and,
the Indy cars out first to dust the course off?
Nope.
No, they don't. do they?
Of course, dude. We're the slouches. We got to take the dust off for them.
Man.
But and something we'll talk about too is how much the track evolves from the IndyCar rubber.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
I would
yeah.
imagine a
ton.
ton over that weekend.
A ton. And the more rubber comes down, the more rear grip you get. So the setups change drastically. But
Yeah.
anyway, we're not even going to get a race this first race in St. Pete because then COVID comes.
Oh, wow.
Right.
So
Holy crap.
Yeah,
We're
so-
talking 2020. Here you go, baby. You're in the road to Indy. Just kidding.
Just kidding. Exactly.
Oh, man.
So we go out for the practice P5. Everybody's stoked. I'm like, dude, I drove a shit lap. We're going to kill it in qual. I knew I was going to qualify on pole.
Wait, how many practices do you have? I mean,
One.
on scale.
One.
One practice.
Straight to quality.
This is nuts to me out of the gate. We
Yeah.
are doing a junior formula, one session. Hey, good luck. Hope you got it figured out. Go qualify.
You're getting properly prepared.
Wow.
Yeah. It's legit.
Wow.
It's legit.
Well, yeah, I guess if you're going
Because
to be at
it's
that,
not like karting. It's so much different.
if you're going to be at that level, they expect you to be able to perform X. So at
Right
least,
away.
right? Yeah.
Right
so
away.
That makes
I think
sense.
that is a huge point right there. It's not like karting. You're not getting. I'm getting ready to do. By this time, hopefully I did a good job. I'll be at Indy for the first time at Newcastle to go do the Cup Karts deal, right? And they just expanded to essentially have a Thursday practice, optional, and Friday. And I was told from another person who's going to be racing, one of my teammates, they're promising essentially one session on Friday before qualifying because there's so many entries.
Right.
You're not going to open up to another day of practice for the junior Formula guys at St. Pete.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great example of the difference when you move up the ladder. The sessions are the sessions. You either figure it out or you don't figure it out.
Well, and I guess that's a good point to get the most out of your prep, right? Studying the track, making sure that you're at the best physical condition, showing up on race day, but also studying the track, but also track walk, going over data, looking at any kind of footage you can,
Simulator.
Yeah, there you go.
It's extremely important.
Getting the most data you can before you touch the track.
Yeah, like before I show up to any race weekend, I've already studied that video. Like every day I go to sleep with my computer still playing that video.
Yeah.
And I wake up in the morning and I'm still on YouTube. You know what I mean?
We've talked about in previous episodes about if you go in a weekend and you don't know the package, meaning what you're driving, and you don't know the course, then you got two things to learn. But if you at least know one of those two things, it will help you dramatically. If you already know the car, okay, cool. I will just concentrate on the course. I will adapt. And if I don't know the car, but I do know the course, all right, cool. At least I know where the hell I'm going. But if you go into it, can you imagine St. Pete, never been there before, period. I got to learn this car. I got to learn this course.
And we all know.
Street course.
We all know walking the track,
nuts,
your vantage point's way different than when you're in the car driving.
Come on.
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
Wow. So, hey, you're going to go do the St. Pete Grand Prix. That's awesome.
We're so pumped. I come back in so confident because I know how bad I drove to get P5. Because we did 5 laps because there were so many cautions because people were crashing and crashing and crashing.
Okay.
How long's the session?
I believe that was a 30-minute practice session.
God,
man, to only get 5 laps, that sucks.
Yeah. So obviously you want as much track time as you can get. We didn't because there was a lot of crashes, and I did 5 laps. So you could imagine a dusty street course, you get 5 laps, and I knew I had a second and a half in my lap, and I was 5/10 off.
Yeah, and who knows what you could have done with the setup if you actually had better data.
Yeah, I didn't even need a setup because the car was already there, and I could feel that the car was there.
This puts the junior stuff in such better perspective, I think. As someone, if you want to go watch it on TV,
can
you imagine, how come they're not as good as they should be? Well, come on.
I mean, put up against a wall to a point,
Yeah, no pun intended, eh? So
literally.
So you come out of the practice session thinking, hey, well, we got something. This is something pretty good right here. You pop into the pits. You're stoked on it. Rock and roll. What happens next?
Gearing up for qualifying. So excited. A little nervous, but I know I can get the job done.
And at this point, the track's cleaner now, right?
The track's cleaner. I'm excited because they've had the Indy cars run, so a little Indy car rubber came down, a lot more grip.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know this at this point because I'm a virgin to it all. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've never raced in a proper road to Indy race, so
you could assume, but you would never be able to know.
Exactly. Everybody's always telling me the Firestone rubber does this, so the track this, and I'm studying. All I do is study for these race weekends.
Yeah.
And
you fall asleep with the YouTube video on.
Literally, yeah. And so I know I'm going to go out there and do well. For sure, top 5 in my first rookie event at the hardest track of the year. We're on the grid, belted in, fire up the engine. They wave it off. So everybody's like, what's going on? And we know about the whole COVID thing, right, at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
I would imagine it had gone through
we're going up to the grid and they're canceling the NBA, canceling the MLB.
I was just going to say.
The world's shutting down as we're going to the grid.
Yeah.
And it was you guys know how sudden it was. It
was
nuts.
big time.
It was nobody was expecting it at all.
Same weekend, Pro Tour NOLA. Same weekend.
Exactly same weekend.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in NOLA, did they let you guys race?
It was we had a conversation with it was actually fortuitous for us. We had Cameron Jocelyn on, and he was tuning for Enzo Deligny at the time.
Yeah.
And they were getting ready to go out for the final practice of official practice.
Yeah.
And they killed it right there.
They cut it, didn't they?
But Tom and Co., it sounded like, had a day-long conversation or damn near day-long conversation with officials and lawyers and so on to try to, not. Just that's the way it went. And, hindsight 2020, there was nothing anybody's going to be able to do.
Yeah.
Things were shutting down. Yeah. It was what it was at the time.
It didn't matter, right? So
we go back to Christian Brooks over here, and they're doing the old red flag. We ain't running.
So we go to pre-grid, red flag, we're not running. Race is canceled, right?
You're like, oh, wow, something happened with this session, and you find out, no, dog, we are done.
That's it. Take it back to the paddock.
Wow.
Everybody's like, are we going to die? What is COVID?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Because at that time, nobody knew.
Because of gravity, yeah.
We can all agree. It went from kind of a joke like, oh, the coronavirus, and all those corona memes, and then it's like, no, it's COVID.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the flip of the switch.
Exactly. And
like
there was like these like fake videos going around of like, I remember people dying on the streets of China and like all this stuff that was like, I don't know if you guys ever saw that, but it was like scary footage. So in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on right now?
Right. Yeah.
And I think everybody was nervous about it, obviously, at first. And so anyway, they send us home and they have us wake up at 3 a.m. The race is back on. That night, they send an email to everybody. So race is back on.
You go back to the hotel thinking,
it's over.
We're done.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I guess we'll figure out it, fly home early or this or that. Oh, by the way, fly home. Wait a second. What's all this other shit going on? You get an email saying, just kidding, we're back on.
With I'll just call it a COVID compliancy form that we all have to sign in if you even want to think about getting into the track.
Okay.
I sleep for like an hour. Okay, go back to the track at 2 a.m. It must have been 2:33 a.m.
You went back to the track 2:33
because for some reason they're rescheduling this race for us to be on track at like
first light
5, while all our stuff is packed away because we thought we were leaving the next morning.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Everything is like disassembled.
Okay.
So we all get back there extremely early, and there's massive lines through the streets, right? Because we're literally on the streets of St. Pete. So we're all just standing there early in the morning, and we get in. We're hopping fences, walking across the track to get in. It was a disaster. And everybody gets their cars set up. Same thing. Race canceled.
Oh, man.
So
in hindsight, right? At the time, how infuriating.
Yeah.
In hindsight,
to get
the amount of confusion that was happening, I mean, it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense.
But to get your excitement back up and then...
Oh, man.
That sucks,
No,
dude.
I mean, you think about it from a driver standpoint, from a team standpoint, whatever it is, that is frustrating at minimum. But
you wake up at like 2:33, it's probably just such a blur. You're like, clothes, helmet, grab all my gear, and now we're walking across the racetrack trying to find our way to the paddock.
Yeah.
Like, what a mess, dude. Yeah, to your point, Mike, like thinking back, like it was just...
It makes sense why,
yeah,
but...
just such a chaotic,
Very chaotic.
Yeah.
Man.
So the race does not happen.
The race does not happen.
Yeah. And what happens going forward?
We have what is it? How long was were the lockdowns
3
for?
months or so?
Well, it depends. For competition, I'm not sure. It was at least 3 months, minimum.
So now I'm a professional sim racer, and I'm in the Road to Indy sim racing series. Not literally professional, but
yeah, the esports things takes off. Yeah.
Esport thing takes off. I'm pushing hard on the sim.
Did you already have one?
Oh yeah. I've got a proper setup.
Nice.
Before this.
Before this, but I made it even better during COVID.
Okay, yeah. So
I needed the best because I couldn't even drive.
Right. And you're not trying to F around. You're trying to, like, I need it. You know everybody else is going to do it.
Yeah.
You already have one, so you got to go game on.
Yeah. And it's not, I don't care about winning anything online iRacing. Like, for me, that doesn't matter.
You got to get better.
Proper practice, exactly.
Yeah.
For me, it was never about, like, winning the RTI E-Series because that means nothing.
Right.
But the practice you get in like the hand-eye coordination, the reflexes, everything,
sure.
It's there. Like if you guys drove my sim, you'd be amazed.
Well,
like
and
I spent way too much money on that thing.
I was just talking to Matt Johnson about it too. I want to try his real bad. Now I want to try yours too. Sounds like I got a list. But having done sim racing myself, I agree with you 100%. Hand-eye coordination, all this other kind of stuff. But if you can actually, especially with iRacing is now, the cars that they have on there, the tracks that they have on there, the setup ability there's a lot of things that you can learn from that and carry on. But without going down the rabbit hole that is e-racing or e-sports, when do you get a chance to get back in the seat here in 2020? And what does the year 2020 mean to you as you go into the current year as far as your ladder?
It was definitely strange. You know, we didn't know exactly what the plan was going to be. We didn't know if we were ever going to be able to race again in 2020.
Yeah.
So we didn't know what was really happening. Everybody was confused, but eventually we got to go back to the track. I couldn't even put a pinpoint on what month it was. It was such a blur to me.
Do you remember what track you went to?
The first race of the season. Oh man, I think it was Mid-Ohio, but I
was gonna say.
I could be wrong. I think it was Mid-Ohio.
I think it was, dude. That sounds right.
Yeah, there's Mid-Ohio there. I want to say there's VIR in there.
Did they go?
No, we didn't go to VIR this year. We didn't.
Was that
I need to check right now. But yeah, so we started the season back up, and immediately we were having success. I mean, we were doing well. Oh, I'm sorry. Road America was the first race back.
Oh, nice.
And it was a rain qualifying, and I pull up the picture on my phone starting on the front row in my first race.
Oh, cool.
So
your actual first race.
My actual first race, qualified off pole in the rain. First time ever driving
an open wheel car in the wet.
I've driven an F4 in the wet, but
Okay.
my first time driving a USF in the wet.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're
we
like
put it
the
off.
same. I just heard.
Yeah, we put it off poles, which was a huge accomplishment
For sure.
And we were stoked. Like,
just curious. Road America is a big track.
huge.
Do you happen to remember if you were kind of close to anyone, or were you did everyone thin out throughout qualifying?
Well, there's a lot of people in the field, right? So everybody kind of goes out together, and we were starting at the back of the field, like our pit box was in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of let everybody go as much as the gap I thought I needed.
Yeah, the old karting gig, eh?
Oh yeah, of course. And in open wheel, you don't want to be near anyone because the aero wash that you get is massive.
You lose the front.
Oh, it's so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And you're literally losing a second a lap if you're too close. And so I gave a massive gap, but of course there was some guys that were a bit off the pace that we caught up to pretty quickly. But oh man, that's cool I love that Road America qualifying in the wet was so cool because we had such bad luck before that. We were having a wire harness problem, so I didn't get any practice. And so finally we figured out the problem right before qualifying. And we had no clue what our dry setup should have been because we weren't able to get our practice in.
Right.
And luckily it rained. So we were like, oh, dude, we know our rain setup perfectly.
Yeah, you're out to lunch if this is dry. Meaning you.
It wouldn't have been front row, that's for sure.
That's what I'm getting at.
It definitely wouldn't have been front row.
I'm not saying you're last. I'm just saying you're not in the conversation. But it goes wet, and we're going back to old GRC stuff, so on and so forth, so you can still figure it out.
I couldn't believe it.
Long story short, you're not going to be front row, but you got a shot at it.
Yeah, exactly. So when the rain started coming down, I was happy because, I mean, I love driving in the rain, whether it's go-karts, rallycross, quads. It doesn't even matter. I love it. I love it. I love having the control over the car and being on the limit. That's part of the reason I love street courses because you're always on the limit.
Yeah. That picture you're showing us, though, that you're on the front row, it is a very nice day out.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to get into this part. After the rain qualifying.
There's only so much adjustment you can do behind the wheel, right?
Brake bias.
There you go.
So you can help with the brake bias, but we didn't have the setup right. We had too much aero, I remember, and we just had no pace in that race, which really sucked. We ended up 12th.
Oof.
Oh man.
So in USF, it's really important to have everything perfect.
Right.
And that day we just didn't have it. So first race back was Road America. It was tough. I had that 12th place after being front row. So racing is a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's really a roller coaster. You'll have good days. You'll have terrible days. And that was a terrible weekend. 12th place on first day, crashed out on the second day.
Oh man.
So in that race, I think we started the second race from our best lap time in the first race, which was terrible. So we started off the season not so strong.
Okay.
But we progressively got better.
And we're into the year a little bit, too. This is a truncated season.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like May. Maybe it's later. I don't even.
It's later.
Well, I'll tell you right now. It is July 12th.
I was gonna say May. Get out of here. So, anyways,
I was only 2 months off.
Yeah.
But
so you do this race in July. It's a tough start, and like I said, truncated deal. It's tight. Not a lot of races to go because it's not a full season.
Yeah, so it's a short season. But what they would do is they would have 3 races in one weekend.
Right. Instead of a doubleheader, they go trips.
So you're getting a lot of track time.
Right.
But so from there, we end up going to Mid-Ohio was the second race. And it went better. We got 2 fourth-place finishes. And then we went to Lucas Oil, which is
3 races on the weekend.
Not at everyone.
Oh, okay.
So they would do some doubleheaders, some tripleheaders. And the first Mid-Ohio was a double.
Gotcha.
And some triple headers, you said?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Some triple headers.
Which I would imagine, actually, for a team like yours, it sounds like, or even yourself, would be a better thing.
It just depends on where you're at in the championship. I mean, sometimes you'll want less. Like if it's a track that you're not good at, obviously you don't want 3 races.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
But no, for me, I like the more races, the more chances you have
Get
not
better
to
at it.
mess up.
Yeah.
So you get more opportunity. So Mid-Ohio was good. We were getting better. And then Lucas Oil, we did the oval, and we ended up finishing 5th there, which I think was decent. We were the highest finishing rookie. It was fun.
I forgot you guys do ovals.
Super tight oval.
3/4 mile, right?
My poor right arm was finished after that race.
And you said
3/4
Lucas
mile.
Oil. Is that the old IRP?
Yep.
So is that still the variable banking?
Yes.
Yeah. So as you go up, it's higher banking. Did you guys stay on the bottom with the little bit of downforce you have?
We stay on the very top.
Oh, on the very top with the
wow.
high banking.
So you have that lane. You've seen the track.
Yeah.
So you have your lane. And if you're out of your lane, you're spinning. Like if you drop a wheel, because it's variable banking. So if you get
That's
out
what
of
I'm
your
getting
lane,
at. Yeah.
you're going to lose all traction.
Yeah.
So,
That thing's set up for the max banking.
oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Full downforce all the way on the top.
And
because your
flat.
exits are just so much better. Not completely flat,
Close?
but it's like I think you lift to like 75% on the entry and straight back in qualifying.
That reminds me of the conversation we had with
2-lap quali too.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love the green white.
Scary.
With no draft, just you?
Cold tires. You're the only one on the track. They send you out one by
Hell
one.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool.
That reminds me of we were talking about with Rocky Moran, and he's talking about Milwaukee Mile.
That's right, yeah.
And he said he had the track record at Milwaukee Mile. Because I asked him about Milwaukee, and he said it was a lot like crap. He said it was basically like the Indy for
the Atlantics. Yeah.
Because it's like flat.
Yeah.
Because of the
Big
downforce they
downforce,
had
yeah.
and whatnot. So you're going around I say IRP, the Lucas Oil,
Yeah.
and up close to the wall. And then,
Very, very close.
And then not coming all the way down the line and coming up.
No. One lane all the way around.
That's pretty cool.
It's cool, and it is gnarly.
So
I'll
can
tell
you, as a junior Formula driver, can you understand a little trepidation with some of these road racers trying to move into the oval game?
And some of these guys that are shit talking, thinking that they can drive ovals, yes.
Yeah.
It's totally a different game.
The respect is there.
The aero wash, the respect is there. Because you have the aero wash, which is nuts.
You're
Like-
thinking you're good, and all of a sudden the front don't work.
If you try to go in on the bottom and you try to gain on the entry and then you get up behind them in the center of the corner,
It says,
your front
nope.
is gone.
Man.
Because
Wow.
just think about it like this. We changed from 5-degree front wings to 3-degree front wings.
Okay.
Which is so slight. You can't see it at all. It's just one main plane. And that difference is the difference of you drifting the entire track or understeering real bad.
Wow.
So when you have
Because
a
now
car,
we're talking about pounds of downforce in the
Right.
front.
exactly, and it's such a small change. But when you have a car directly in front of you, you have zero
Good night.
Yeah.
air on that wing.
Wow.
So it just completely dumps. And you want to know what happens once you clear the car because you understeer past it?
Here we go.
All the grip comes back.
Wow.
So then you completely snap loose. So you have to be very, very vigilant of where the other cars are at, because if you go in there very deep and try to stay right behind them, odds are for sure you're not getting a good exit if we're talking racing scenarios. Right. And you're likely to get an incident if you're not smart about it.
You know what pops in my head is Dale Earnhardt. when he would, whether it's Fable or what, I can see the air. He obviously couldn't see the air, but understanding the air.
Right.
I would assume if you are 10 car lengths back,
you feel like you can see the air,
and you're like,
driving.
all right,
Right.
I know where he's going to be. As you start to understand the arrow, right? That's crazy. I know on the iRacing thing I did. So
You can feel it in iRacing.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can.
Oh yeah, and it's 50 times worse in real life.
Man, the repercussions are real.
If you sit in the aero wash for too long on a road course, oval, whatever, your fronts roach in like 2 laps.
Oh, no way.
And you're done.
That makes sense.
Man.
Once the tires give up, because they're making up the difference.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes
And then
perfect
once
sense.
the tires overheat,
You're like, oh, I'm good.
Finish.
I can do this all day. Just kidding, mate. You just burned up your front.
because you have to push so hard to try to stay close. So it's almost better to drop back and keep
Get
the tires
some of the arrow
cool,
back.
get some of the aero back, keep the tires okay, and wait for them to fall off a bit more,
Oh.
and then make one really hard attack.
Yeah.
See, we were talking about
Build
earlier.
up your momentum after a few laps or
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
We were talking about earlier. It makes so much more sense. You start watching these races on TV, and you start going, "Why are they doing what the hell they're doing?" It makes more sense.
It's funny.
It's
I
not
think,
go-karting.
like,
Come on, son.
Yeah.
like, I think back
And
to
even in
the-
go-karting, you have some front downforce, believe it or not. Like, if you take your front bumper off, you're going to push real bad. Just from that little bit of downforce that the bumper gives you.
Yeah, well, mate, that's also the stiffness.
That's a difference
Yeah.
as well. But we used to change, when I was with CRG, we used to go from OTK front bumpers to CRG bumpers. Completely changes the way the front end works.
Yeah, but what sticker kit you have on it?
CRG sticker kit always. Eddie
That's the problem.
Eddie hated it when I would put the OTK bumper on.
That's funny.
But anyway, what were you saying?
But I was to say, I mean, yeah, thinking back to, I mean, I just watched the PIR race for IndyCar this last weekend, right? But
Love my home track.
that was so much fun to watch. Such a crazy track. But to think like how close those guys are, lap after lap, and I think as cars, we all know that like managing the equipment, you know, keeping the car underneath you and not beating up the tires, blah blah blah. But man, you're not managing the tires; you're trying to manage the air. You know,
With
it just
knock-on effect tires. So
for
Exactly,
sure,
yeah.
yeah. And it's like lap after lap, these guys are managing that gap to get a little bit more air. That's
Yeah.
just crazy, dude.
Yeah.
On a road course, like
Yeah.
where you have
sure.
you know all difference of braking, all that
then,
stuff.
And
Yeah,
then you
exactly.
fast forward and you start thinking about like some of the races they have at like Texas.
Yeah,
3 wide, craziness, so
sick.
close.
I love that track.
And yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. So I want to put a point on the formula stuff. How did you finish out your first year in the Road to Indy? And now we're in year 2, 2021. So let's pack it up and go, all right. First year or first race.
You're gonna love
Oof,
this.
he's
Yeah.
got
You're
something.
gonna love this.
Didn't go your way. The second round, okay, couple of fours, not so bad. How's the rest of 2020 go, and how are we looking right now?
Then we go to IMS, double podium. Get our
Okay.
first 2 podiums in Road to Indy. Beautiful weekend. Everything went smooth. Car was great. We made huge improvements from the practice, and we were stoked. And then anyway, long story short, we're back at St. Pete for the last round.
that's right. Yeah,
Oh.
finale there.
Finale at St. Pete.
Yeah.
And this is literally the best day of my life. All this pressure that's been building up because I haven't had the results I've wanted because I want to win every race, you know.
For sure.
And it
You're
hasn't.
getting older now. You know the repercussions. You know the added piece. Yeah, you're not that
You
kid
hit it to
anymore.
a T. You hit it to a T.
Yeah,
And I know that I need to get good results.
yeah.
And it's the last race of the season. It's my last chance. Go out for practice, P1. Go out for qualifying, P1 track record by 2/10.
Come on, son.
Wow.
Track record by 2/10 back to like the 80s. Then we go.
It was all car.
It was all car. So then, so that was in qualifying too. So the first qualifying, I was like 4th. And then,
Explain the different qualifying.
so there's 2 qualifying. So you do quali 1 and quali 2 in one day.
Is it knockout or how does?
No. Like for race 1 qualifying 1,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and then
Oh.
race 2 qualifying 2.
Okay.
I gotcha.
Exactly. So
New skins
for-
on both.
new skins on both.
Oh,
And because you have 4 sets of tires to use however you want. So if you want to use, you have to start with new at least once in quali because you can't use carryover tires.
okay.
So you have to start with new, but you can run that same set all the way through all the qualies if you want, but you're going to be terrible.
Right, right.
So we double set a lot because what happens is you go out and you'll set a lap, and then you'll come in, you'll learn from your mistakes, right? Oh, I missed that corner.
Right.
The car handles a little bit differently here on the new tire. I'm having understeer. Let's raise the rear end a little bit.
Right, make an adjustment.
And you're also 20 pounds lighter in fuel.
Okay.
Right.
So you go back out, you have a free 2/10 because of the fuel.
Are the qualies back to back?
Not exactly back to back, but you have like 3 hours in between, but it's on the same day.
Okay, back to back for the car. The car doesn't do other sessions in between.
No other sessions.
All right. So,
okay.
And you guys can add fuel?
Yeah, so you usually start with a lot of fuel because if you go out with low fuel and then like there's a red flag or something,
oh, you're hosed.
Then you're hosed, and that's happened.
Yeah.
That's happened to a lot of people before.
So what I'm understanding here is you went out and you're P4. I think you said P4.
P4 in the first quality.
In the first quality, like, oh, all right,
because we did one set of tires, which is where we made a mistake. We should have done two.
Okay, so you go out first quality P4. All right, guys, I need to make an adjustment. I assume
the car wasn't where I would have liked it. It had too much understeer, and in these cars, you always want them front dominant.
Mm-hmm.
Even in a go-kart, you never want understeer, right? It's always faster when you have oversteer.
The only time I've ever wanted understeer is on iRacing with the oval stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'd rather have a little scrub.
Let it scrub a little bit,
yeah.
Jeff Gordon said it's not Jimmy Johnson. That's how I was looking.
You're going to have to friend me on iRacing. So you have a sim.
I used to could, and we will lose days on that conversation.
I got that.
Okay.
So he gave me the hand-me-down.
Yeah. So, but you made the adjustments, and second quality, on pole, track record. Come on, Christian Brooks, we the man.
Yeah, we had pole by like 3.5 tenths over second. Track record, first pole of the year.
Nice.
On the most difficult track.
Let's go.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then go into the race, lead start to finish, and win with race record.
Wow.
So you saved the best for last.
It was a beautiful moment.
Talk about a way to like just build up your momentum throughout the year, right?
Especially to end at the track that
you were going to
happened
start
with the COVID.
Yeah.
That's a cool feeling. And you had more than one race, right?
I had so much confidence too because I knew how terrible I drove, and I had the video, and I watched that P5 lap from practice, COVID practice. I have it labeled COVID practice in my computer.
Makes sense.
And it was terrible. Like that lap 5, P5. Terrible driving. And so I knew exactly what I needed to do right when I went back. And we were so fast. P1 practice. I think we might have had 2 practices that time. But it was like P1. And then I was so disappointed with the P4 in the first quali. Because the Firestone rubber, we didn't.
Okay, you didn't make the adjustment.
We didn't adjust properly.
Right.
And then.
But it's not your first rodeo at this point. Because now you've been on
Now
it.
we know.
Yeah.
Now we know.
So P4, it's all right, guys. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So, but you have 2 races, right?
2 races.
And you win.
The second race.
You win. Oh, all right. So how's the first race go? You led with the second one.
Okay. So, of course. But the first race, going to turn 1, the driver behind me completely forgot to brake. Full throttle over the top of me. Lands on the car in front of me.
Holy crap.
Lands on him. All 4 corners are broken. Honestly, we're very blessed, so nobody got hurt in that crash. And I'll show you guys that video right after this.
Absolutely.
It's really scary.
On the FCP Instagram.
Oh, this is good. I broke my hand in the crash on race 1. So obviously, you guys know when you're holding onto the wheel, there's no power steering in these cars.
Right.
So he went over me and he landed on my right front, which made my tires do that immediately.
Oh, yanked the wheel out of your
So
hand.
my wheel did 2 180s, and I'm holding on for dear life going into 1.
Does it have that kind of spin on it?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know you guys had to do a full. I thought it was more like a kart for the formulas.
No, so it will do...
I thought you only go like noon. Is it more than that? Are you guys
It'll
doing
go like
rotation?
260 degrees probably.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you can...
More than I thought?
You can
okay.
You can get a proper wheel out of it. But once he hit...
Boom.
Like, you could probably see that bump here. But it hurts all the time. Luckily, it doesn't hurt when I drive anymore.
So you break your hand. I'm sure you didn't know you broke your hand.
I didn't know I broke it, but I knew it hurt.
It hurt.
Bad,
Yeah. So you hurt your hand. You're like, this sucks.
Do you guys have a halo or anything like that? No, okay.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
For next year, we're going to have a halo.
Okay, gotcha.
I think they started them at Indy Lites.
Yes.
Ah, right.
Because they could add it onto the Indy Lights tub.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have all new tubs for next year so we can have the halo.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy about it.
Yeah. So you break the hand. You don't know. It hurts. So are you out lap 1?
Oh yeah.
You're done.
My front end's finished.
So you're toasted.
This poor guy.
You qualified 4th.
Qualified 4th out of the race before we even get to turn 1.
If you qualified on pole, would you have kept going?
No, there was no chance. The wheel was broken.
No. I mean, I'm saying if you had qualified, if you had started over there in first,
would you have been involved?
Would you stayed out of it? Because what I'm saying is that you should have done way better.
You're right. You're right, and you sound just like my team owner. He says, you put yourself in a bad position.
Oh, I like that.
And it's true.
Right, yeah.
It is true. Mm-hmm. If you would have done better, that would have never happened.
Yeah.
Jim Barry always says he wants to be on the front row. He doesn't care if it's the P1 or P2. He wants to be on the front row. If we're not in the front row, it's probably the driver's fault.
It's probably the driver's fault. It's always the driver's fault.
And I'm a shit qualifier, so there's a lot of pressure.
Trust me, it's always the driver's fault in cars. Always.
It still is in cars. So the first one doesn't go so well. However, just because you like to have more drama in your life, you ended up having a busted-ass hand starting P1, right?
So
and good night, Sally, with track records?
So I go back to the hotel after the crash. And I am freaking out because I'm starting on pole for the first time, and I can't even go like this.
Hello, Rocky Moran.
Just about to say that. Did you hear his episode by chance?
No, I didn't.
You're going to need to.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into it now, but
we'll tell you after.
It's ironic.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can't even squeeze my hand at all. And I'm like, I have to grip the steering wheel. I'm done. There's no chance. So I take a few Advils that night to see how much better it would be. And not even that I needed them. I needed to see if I was going to be able to drive.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget my parents went and got me Chick-fil-A because all I wanted to do was lay there. I was depressed. I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this tomorrow? And they brought me the Chick-fil-A and I went to pick it up and I just couldn't even carry the cup. Imagine you can't carry this. Imagine if you can wheel through the corner.
Was it a large or a medium?
It was a large.
That's a difference.
It was a large.
I'll give you the pass then.
Greedy bastard.
I'll give you the pass then.
Greedy bastard.
Oh, man. I think they just gave me a large because they felt bad.
It was an empty cup. There wasn't even anything in it.
So I was extremely nervous, as you can imagine. I didn't even think I was going to be able to drive. I was going to drive no matter what, as you guys already know.
Yeah.
But we...
Does your dad pop over and was like, hey, my entire retirement is riding on you.
Oh, he was probably more nervous than I was. And I was looking at my hand and looking at that bump. It's not like that on the other hand. You know what I mean? That happened in that crash, and every single day it reminds me of St. Pete. I love that. I love it.
Yeah, now you do.
Now I do.
Not at the time.
Only because it went well. But so before I go out, I took 6 Advils.
Probably about 8 too many.
Yes, and I took them directly before I got in the car because I knew if I took 2, I wasn't going to be able to make the race. Mm-hmm. If I took 3 or 4 maybe, but 6 to be safe. And
everything on the podcast here is not something anybody wants to do at home. Just so we're on the same page.
Yeah, but we can leave this in because sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
Right.
And we ended up finishing the race first. Amazing race.
How
Led start to finish.
How did your hand feel after?
I had no idea
that
it hurt at all.
Yeah.
On the way up to the grid, it hurt so bad.
No.
But the emotions and the adrenaline.
For sure.
I had no idea.
Well, and I mean, honestly, Derek, you just got done with a rib injury this year. I'm sure, Christian, you've had injuries before. I know I have. Shit hurts. And then you start getting, warm-up lap, that hurts. But, dude, by lap 3, I forgot I had a problem. Mm-hmm. Unless I've got a really bad problem, like back in the day when I got separated ribs and stuff, I couldn't figure out how to get around that. But if it's a nagging thing, like a broken hand, anyways, if it's something that you can power through,
right,
the game day will find its way. You know what I'm saying? We should quote that. Game day will find its way. So you end up winning at St. Pete, huge for you. This is the ass end of last year, season finale.
Last race, yeah.
And you win. And this goes right up there with the F4 win at COTA, right? This is big.
Way better.
But for the
That's
career,
why I said COTA was top 3. This is number 1.
Come on.
Okay.
So this is a big deal.
Yeah.
This is a big deal. Well, you obviously know what the hell you're doing. How's 2021 start?
We go to Barber spring training, P1 in 4 out of 4 sessions.
Same team.
Same team.
Okay.
We've made big improvements from the season before. The team is killing it. P1 every session. Unfortunately, in Barber, we had 2 terrible qualifyings. We ended up 5th in both races, which for me was okay. We started the championship off, decent points.
Better than the last time.
Better than the last time,
Yeah.
for sure.
In same series. No
Same
change.
series, same
Same
series.
team, same series. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it again. So we do that, and then the second race is St. Pete. So
A little bit of pressure this time. This isn't your
I already
first time
knew.
around.
I already knew before we even got there that we were going to win both.
Oh, wow.
I knew because, dude, it's just the setup is so good. My driving there is
All right.
on point,
So what it is, the pressure may still be there. You won last
but not
time.
nearly as much.
Where I'm going with this is the pressure's there, but your confidence overcomes the pressure.
Exactly. The pressure's always there.
Yeah.
The pressure's always
except for you go into the St. Pete the first time, nobody knows who Christian Brooks is in this car at this track.
No, they don't.
This time, your name's literally in the record books, mate.
Yeah.
So pressure.
Yeah.
So the pressure's there, but your confidence and your ability to go, nah, I got this, overcome said pressure.
Exactly.
It's like I won Supernats last year, or I won the championship last year. Well, you got the target.
Yeah.
Well, you went into St. Pete with the target.
Yeah.
And you're like, no big deal. And I assume that went pretty well.
It went very well. We practice wasn't amazing because I wasn't able to make all the laps. We were like P4, but it was the same thing as the COVID practice. I was like P4 with that lap. We're gonna go pole for sure.
Gotcha.
So we go out first quali, put it on pole by 3.5 tenths.
Wow.
Might have been 4 tenths, and I was 1,000th off my track record. So it was the exact same lap.
Gotcha.
I did the same lap. I had a very, very small mistake when I watched the video. I can't even stand to watch it. I just spun the tire a little bit on the exit one of the corners, and that was the track record that I could have beat.
Right.
I still hold it.
Sure.
But it was close. So I have the 2 best laps at St. Pete ever.
There you go. That's nice
The
to
2
say.
best laps. It's pretty cool. And so the second qualifying, I go out.
Oh, but you did on the first time, not the second time.
Yes, exactly. So now I went P1 first one.
Yeah.
And then the second one, I
You
go
went
out.
slower?
Listen, I go out and I'm P1 directly out of the gate, right? P1 by like 3 tenths. It's like really, really good. And then I completely blew off my tires because I pushed so hard for that lap. And then one of the other guys on another team put a second set. So I double setted the first session, 2 sets of tires, and they double setted the second session. So he was able to get a better read on the car, lighter fuel. And he got me by like a couple hundredths, right? And so we decided, well, we didn't decide. We ended up P2. And anyway, race 1 went according to plan. Start to finish, easy race. But the second race, starting P2, it was Kiko Porto, Brazilian driver, super, super good driver, was starting on pole. And I got him like a really good jump off the start. Almost got him around the outside into 1. And
Which,
then,
I mean, if anybody doesn't know St. Pete, it's a right and an immediate left kink to a right.
yes, exactly. So almost got him around the outside of 1, but he chopped me going into 2, so I had to lift.
You're done. Yeah.
And you're done. So now I'm like, great.
So now
Aero
you're-
wash.
you're
Here comes
P2,
the aero wash.
yeah.
You know?
Are you,
And
in that section, still getting the air wash?
everywhere.
Really?
Everywhere. Aero wash. Terrible. Wow. And so now we're going through. He gaps me like 7 tenths, I think, at the beginning of the race. And then my car starts to come alive. I think we were low pressure. And my thing starts to come alive, and I run like 12.3, I remember, was like really, really good time. And I caught him like 4 tenths in 1 lap, then 4 tenths in 1 lap. So now I'm on his gearbox. And it goes caution. right before I was about to pass him, it goes caution. And we do the restart. And usually, well, at least what I used to do on the restarts, because the first race there was like 8 cautions. I had to do like 8 restarts from the lead, which is never something you want to do, especially when you have pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to go to the sunset.
Exactly. And it's what we were doing, but then caution.
Right.
So we go through the last corner, and he goes in a little bit too deep, and he leaves a very big air gap for my front wing. So I get a beautiful run out of the last corner. And he goes to defend. He gets on the paint because going into 1, you're on an airstrip.
Mm-hmm.
So there's huge paint lines. And before the Firestone rubber gets laid down in practice, you're locking up into turn 1 every time, no matter where you're at on the track. It's nuts. And he went too narrow, locked it up, and we gave him the crossover around the outside into 2. So ended up doubling up at St. Pete and winning both days.
Nice.
It was killer.
That's a pretty good weekend.
I love that place. I love St. Pete.
How'd the rest of the season go?
We had our ups and downs. Those were the St. Pete was definitely the best for both seasons.
Okay. I said the rest of the season because we're now in.
Now we're in
September. Yeah.
Exactly. So we did Indy GP, qualified on pole, a 10th off the track record.
Wow.
Unfortunately, and I already know what we needed to change to get the track record, which sucks, but we'll have another shot at it. But qualified on pole, didn't really have the best setup for the races, but we triple podiumed, which was great. You know, as long as you're on the podium in the road to Indy, it's a good day.
Yeah.
You're in the conversation.
Exactly. As long as you're in the conversation, it's a great day.
Right.
And so Indy went really well. We made tons of improvements again. And where did we go after Indy? It's going to be, I think we did Mid-Ohio again. P4. I don't think I've ever podiumed at Mid-Ohio. Once in F4, but never in USF.
You did get move of the race, I think.
Yes, my move of the year trophy that I got at the banquet was for Mid-Ohio.
Yeah.
That's because I always qualify terribly, so I have to come from the back.
You should do a better job of not sucking.
That's what everybody keeps telling me.
What are you doing?
But no, Mid-Ohio was decent. I mean, fourths sucked.
Yeah.
I hate finishing 4th, but yeah, I mean, the rest of the season went well, but it was up and down, and honestly, we haven't had the best of luck. But yeah, I think the last race of the season should be good in Mid-O.
Yeah, you got one more to go.
One more race.
Yeah, one more to go. At least as we're recording this, I think it might be done when it comes out mid October.
It will be probably.
Yeah. All right, so it's been a pretty good 2021. Basically, you showed well in F4. You've showed well more than once at the level above that. So you would imagine that the next level is got to be right at your fingertips. As someone who's trying to work up the ladder, and we talked about it earlier, joking, not joking, you're an elder statesman with some of the people that you're racing with. It's got to be go or go home a little bit with some of these opportunities. I mean, I would assume. When we talk about putting a point on the car stuff here and your road up, because unlike some of the other guests we've had, you're living it right now. You are literally trying to make that road be a reality. What are the biggest challenges for you trying to work your way up, whether it be finding funding or finding rides or finding opportunities as you go forward?
Yeah, I think the thing that sucks about racing is it's not all about talent. We're playing with big boy dollars if you want to go race at the top level, and it's still dollars I don't even understand, because once we get to IndyCar, you're talking real money, and you have to bring real funding. So making sure you have the right people around you, making sure, because it's not all about just driving on the track. It's about being able to talk to people, being confident, being happy, being appealing to sponsors, not burning any bridges, always making sure that, I mean, you can't always be the nice guy, but you have to make sure that you're always saying the right things, because everybody's watching when you get up to a level like that. And like the IndyCar teams are watching us, the Indy Lites teams are watching us. You always have to make sure you're performing on and off the track. So I'd say if I had any advice, do your best on and off the track. I see a lot of people that only think it's results-based, but it's not.
Right.
Because there's many people in IndyCar that came from no money, and they're not nearly as talented as half these guys at the go-kart track. But they know how to talk the talk and walk the walk, and that's why they're there.
Right. And if you could do a little bit of both, well,
that's how you make it. That's
You're
how
in,
you
right?
make it.
Yeah.
So you have to be yourself. You can't fake. I think there's a lot of people that fake some type of persona to try to make it.
Fake it till you make it, that kind of thing.
I don't think that works.
Yeah, agreed.
You have to be yourself. You have to be yourself.
Gotta be genuine.
You have to be genuine. You have to try your best. Be a good guy. And good things are just going to come your way.
Yeah. So as you're moving forward, you're trying to find things moving forward. You're still living it. So who knows? Who knows? Hopefully it goes really well for you. We're recording this in September. We still got months to go. We still got things to do. But moving on, or I should say moving on, but let me put a point on karting. We're at the kart track today. You just got done doing driver coaching. You still do karting. I actually just saw you here. Was it earlier this week or late last week? You're driving a shifter kart just to stay in shape. Try to stay sharp. Karting still plays a huge part in what you do because you are trying to go up the ladder. Karting is not just a physical thing, but also a mental and staying sharp deal. When you look back on your karting career, which is not over, it may be taking a little bit of a back seat, but it's definitely something that still you do. Is there anything in karting that you still like, hey, I want to do that? You joked earlier, like, hey, if I make it, I still want to go back and do GRC. Is there anything in karting you're like, I want to do that, or I want to win that? I don't want to say bucket list, but is there an item on that list that you're like, I got to do that?
There's two. I want to win the Super Nats. Mm-hmm. And I want to go race a WSK race in KZ and OK in single speed. And I want to win. I mean, of course I want to win.
Right.
But Super Nats is the number one on my list. And I'm not going to stop until I do
Super
it.
Nats, and I
just
assume
have
like
to
an
keep going.
X30 senior, or do you
ask,
care the class?
Yeah.
I want to win because for me, I feel like the top level of Super Nats is KZ. Mm-hmm. Like, at this stage of my career, like, I want to go and beat Danny Formal or beat Billy Musgrave or beat Kremers, the world champion. You know what I mean? The best driver in the world.
Right.
And not to say, trust me, I know how competitive X30 is.
Right.
But I think I'm ready to move on from single speed, and I want to challenge myself. That's why you see me out here pounding laps.
All right. I was just going to ask, are we seeing you pounding here to stay sharp and
a
little
bit of prep?
Yeah. I want to race KZ at Super Nats.
I love it.
I mean, why not? Either I'm great,
or you learn a bunch,
or I learn a bunch.
Yeah.
Either
way, I've never really raced shifter, so
no, exactly.
You can call me a wanker all you want, but if I finish P7, I'm still the man.
You're in the show.
So and if I win it, whoa,
right,
they're really gonna be tripping.
Yeah, you'll probably even quit doing the car stuff. You're like, it ain't gonna get much better,
dude. Seriously, no, dude. I would rather win that. I would take one of my St. Pete races away to win a Super Nats. Yeah. Seriously, that's how much that means to me.
That's pretty sick.
Because I pushed my whole life to win the Super Nats, and you guys know how close I've been.
9 times. I hear you
so
get
many
hardware.
times.
Yeah.
I stuffed the world champion and crashed him out trying to win.
Yeah.
Man.
So close.
Wasn't worth it.
Maybe this time you'll stuff him better.
Trust me. People talk about that a lot more than if I would have finished second, though.
Well, all right.
Way cooler than finishing second, trust me.
If the Super Nats you want to win, and you talk about the OK and the KZ over yonder, is that a bit of a out there, a bit of a leap? Those two things?
I mean, I could go do it if I wanted to right now because I have good connections with Tanini and those guys.
Would you go there with a chance?
If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right.
Right. So point is, if you were to go, hey, we're going to do it this week, you're not ready.
I'm not. No.
Test, tune, so on and so forth.
Proper testing. Probably go over there, live there for a month.
Which means
make sure I'm doing it right.
All the other stuff takes the back seat.
Yeah.
So whereas you could do what you're doing right now and still go for a Supernats win.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? I'm just going to do it. I could go in the back of my pickup truck and go do it.
That's what I'm getting at.
That's why it's so much better. It's so much easier than going over to Europe and doing that.
Yeah.
That's why Supernats is number one on that list.
That's what I'm saying. The other one's a reach. It's a bit of a fish.
It's just too much.
Yeah.
With what's going on right now with the car stuff.
It's not on the priority list.
Definitely not.
No. But you could do both with Supernats.
Yeah.
You could do both.
Supernats is on the priority list.
Come on. I love it.
For sure.
I love it.
100%.
I do think, though, that this year should still try to do X30. Like, go try to win it in X30. And next year, full-on shifter, get ready for Supernats in the KZ.
I'm looking at his face right now. I think
he doesn't seem enthused, but man,
I'm fully committed already.
Dude, I want you to. Oh man, okay.
I'm fully committed. Hey,
he's an old man.
I'm not saying I won't go back to X30, but I don't want to go race little kids anymore because karting is changing for that class, and for me, like, it was better when you're racing Mastronzi, Pagano, like these guys that, like, now I'm going to be racing like 15-year-olds in X30. I can't.
Blake Nash.
Right.
Yeah, I can't. Imagine if Blake beams. I mean, I'm going to have to retire.
Yeah.
Shout out for the ice on the drink.
Game over. Hey, before we let you go, bud, one of the other things that you've gotten a chance to do, and you do, I know, 100% for fun, is a little something we put on here at Cal Speed. It's called the Machismo 12-Hour. And you got a chance to go out there and do it in the pro class here. I want to say twice, I think. And it's in the 206. We're talking option tires and all kinds of fun stuff. And you've been right at the front every time. It is 100% for fun. It's got its own prestige. It's got its own thing to it because it's so starkly different from what you do. And you've done it. Colton Hurd has done it. Gustavo Manette. I mean, some big names have come out here and played at the Machismo. Coming out here and doing the Machismo for someone like you, it's 100% for fun. But what does that mean to you? And what's the thought process going forward to try to go get that W?
Well, for me, I'm definitely going to do it again. I think we're talking about having a NASH team, so I love it. To be honest, I love it. It is a ton of fun, and you know, it's nice to be able to go out and be competitive without the pressure.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of pressure all the time.
With everything else, yeah.
When you're racing at a high level. Even in karting, I feel like I have pressure because I have people to impress.
Yeah.
Right.
You used to could really well.
Yeah. Like, it used to be nice when I sucked. Then nobody expected anything. But then you get good and everybody's like...
Those are the Kid Kart days. You never knew.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It used to be fun. No, but it's nice to just honestly have so much fun, no pressure. And the 12-hour race honestly was one of the most fun karting races I've ever done. Like, it was so cool. And I was pushing. I remember I ran my fast lap on lap like 3:15.
Yeah.
Oh, it was because you learn so much.
Yeah.
Because the tires don't really fall off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, especially somebody you didn't do 206.
Never. And you micro tune your driving so much when you did that.
You have to be that much more precise with it.
Yeah. And they had me in the cart the most because
you're just the fastest.
My teammates were kind of wanks. so they were like, "Get out there, Brooks."
Wait a minute, words there, buddy.
So I was out there a lot and did a ton of laps, and it's cool because you get to pass so many people the whole time, and you get to work on the racecraft all the time. Yeah, I had a blast with that race. I'm definitely coming back to do it again.
Man, well, hey, Christian Brooks, I gotta tell you, this has been so much damn fun, and for a Season 2 finale, episode 40.
Yeah, dude. What better person to end this thing with, man?
This has been badass. I mean, we're talking about karting, getting into cars, getting into different kinds of cars.
Dude, we got talking about rallycross tonight.
Rallycross.
That's so sick.
And Formula cars, and honestly, road to Indy, and different opportunities. I mean, I'm stoked for you. I hope things work out for you in a great way. I really appreciate the time that you took to hang out with us. This has been a lot of fun, and
sure.
Thanks so much for being on board, bud.
Thanks for hanging out.
Mike, Derek, I appreciate you guys having me on. Full Caster podcast, best podcast in the world. I'm glad I could finish it off with a bang. Hopefully you guys liked it. And yeah, it was a pleasure talking with you guys.
Thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
It.